Finding your passion is one of the most important and least understood things that I think you can do, especially as an entrepreneur. We've all heard the expression, find your passion, find your passion. You got to do what you love. And from all the videos that I've done and all the people that I've studied and profiled, whether they're entrepreneurs, innovators, athletes, recording artists, like whatever they are, the number one rule that they all have in common is find your passion. When I get asked, you've studied all these people, what's the most common thread? That's it. Find your passion. You have to be doing the work that you love. But how do you do it? How do you find it? Because most of the time we know what we don't want, right? You know the life that you don't want. You know the people who you don't want to be hanging around. You've been at some job that you do not enjoy. We typically know what we don't want, but we haven't done the work or been given the tools to know what we do want. And that's what I'm going to cover in this video. For me, I love helping entrepreneurs. I think your purpose comes from your pain, right? So whatever you struggle the most in life is what you want to help other people through. You are built to serve. So your purpose, your passion becomes a part of that, will definitely be in service to other people somehow. It's not enough for it just to be about you. You have to be doing other things. I just came from doing some squats. I feel a little out of breath, but this is amazing. I love this. This is the best. And so your purpose comes from your pain. Your purpose is to help other people through something, especially what you went through yourself. The passion component, though, is actually enjoying the work to get people to the other side. So for me, I love helping entrepreneurs. I struggled a lot in my early days as an entrepreneur, and I'm basically trying to make the world of 19-year-old Evans who are struggling not struggle as much as I did. And I'm a visual learner, so I'd much rather see visual content than anything else. YouTube did not exist when I was getting started, and so I'm trying to share whatever wisdom I have, share the lessons from other successful entrepreneurs so that all of the 19-year-old Evans out there can learn and can improve and get better. I have a process that I call the passion process. And if you go through this process, it'll help you identify your passion and give you a lot more light, love, energy, and money, because we got to make money as entrepreneurs. So the passion process is this, if you want to go through it. Make a list of all the things that you've done to help other people, especially the kind of people who are who you used to be. Like, make a list. And I went through this process in Built to Serve. I did this with my wife to help her find her passions. This is where it was birthed. But if you just make a list of all the things that you enjoyed helping people with, like you got them a result. You're so happy that they are now in a different spot because of what you did. Like, what did you do where you showed up and you helped somebody with something? And just, if you want to pause the video, you can. If you want to make a mental list, just all the things that you've done to help other people, okay? After you have that list, then write down or just circle the ones that you actually enjoyed the process of doing as opposed to just the end result. This is where we get stuck. This is where entrepreneurs get trapped, okay? We enjoy the end result of what we've done, but we don't enjoy the process of doing it. How many times have you helped somebody else out because you're a good person, because you're built to serve, because you love that person, or even you see yourself in that person and you just want to help. And you're so happy that you helped them, but you didn't actually enjoy the work that you were doing. And that's the key difference. The result has to be there that you help somebody, of course. And the thing that will make you light up, come alive, love doing for the rest of your life is the actual work you're doing you love to. So to bring it home, that's some great theory. Awesome. In my example, the example that I use in Built to Serve in my book is I love helping entrepreneurs. Like, I want to see you win. Every day I wake up and I try to figure out what else can I do to try to help entrepreneurs win? How else can I help the 19-year-old Evans of the world out there get their business off the ground? And if you were to move your office, say you're going from a home office to you got your first office. It's like, wow, you got your first place, amazing. And you needed help moving. I could help you move. And I would be so happy to see you in your new office. The problem is, I don't enjoy the process of moving. I don't want to unplug computers and pack them in boxes and move desks. And sure, it might be a fun workout, but I don't get lost in the process of that, right? I don't love it. I love the end result of helping the entrepreneur, but I don't love the process of getting the entrepreneur to that result. And that's the key difference. That's where most of you will get trapped. You love the end result and feel like what you're doing matters and is important, great. And you get that little hit at the end, like, yes, I helped that person. But did you actually enjoy the process of you doing the work? And if not, that's what we need to revisit. Most entrepreneurs are doing too much of the work that they do not enjoy, just trying to get to the result. Now, not everything you do is going to be amazing. Not everything that you do is going to fill you up with joy and passion. A lot of running a business does suck, and you have to do things. Accounting and taxes and legal stuff is not stuff that makes me come alive and I find joyous. But Your goal as an entrepreneur needs to be to spend more time in that zone of genius where you do actually love it. And at the beginning, maybe it's 50-50, but hopefully as you build and scale and grow and learn more about yourself, you can shift the percentage of how much you do that is in your zone of genius that you love doing versus what has to get done to grow the business, right? And as you build and scale and grow, that's hopefully where team comes into place to handle all those things that have to get done that you don't enjoy doing. So if you make your list of all the ways that you have helped people, if you have no idea, what's my passion? You have no idea. Make a list of all the things that you have done that you've enjoyed the result of helping somebody. What have you done to help people? Then circle the ones where you actually enjoyed the process. So I don't want to help entrepreneurs move and pack boxes, even if it leads to a great result. I want to do something that I actually enjoy doing.
Need motivation?
Watch Top 10 with Believe Nation.
Hey, it's Nina Carmichael, and we made these videos because you're probably the most ambitious person in your circle, but you know you're capable of much more, and you get that push by surrounding yourself with the best. So today, let's learn from one of the best, my husband Evan Carmichael, and our take on his top 10 rules for success. Enjoy! Rule number 2, start standing up.
Standing up has changed my life. Not just standing up for myself and standing up for what I might believe in, and the standing up. What is it? It's not metaphysical. The theoretical. I don't know. But actually standing up, like the physical standing up, going from sitting down, like I am right now in my car, but to standing up has changed my life. Stand-up desks are now a huge trend and a huge boost, and I would definitely recommend checking some of those out. But when I first started standing up was probably, I don't know, maybe 20 years ago, 15 years ago. I just found that when I was on the phone and talking, see, this is how it started. So I'm actually now on my office is a trampoline. So I'm on a stand-up trampoline desk. I had to raise my desk 10 inches so that the trampoline could be underneath it. And I get 20 to 40,000 jumps a day on my trampoline. We went through 3 trampolines last year because they broke, because most are not designed to be jumped on that often. But trampolining while working might be a stretch for most people right now. If you ever see me and I'm doing an interview and I'm on my main computer, you might see me doing little micro bounces, and I'm trying to control it, like holding onto the desk, like don't bounce, don't bounce, don't bounce, because it can be annoying to watch on an interview. But for the most part, I'm bouncing up and down all day long on my trampoline. Now, why did I start this? Well, 15-20 years ago, I just found that when I was on the phone and I was talking to clients, I would be better when I was walking around. I don't know if it's a nervous energy or what, but when I sat down, it was less energetic, less like, let's go do this thing. And when I stood up, it was just, I had more energy. You could test for yourself. Do you have more energy when you're standing up or when you're sitting down? And so on calls, I would not just stand up, but I would walk around. I like to have something going on. People comment on some of my videos where I fidget with my ring. So my ring, whenever I'm thinking, I don't like to be meditative and still. I like to have something going on. So I'm often fidgeting with my ring, or you might see my ears move up and down every now and then when I'm thinking. I like walking around, just having something going. It helps me think and process better. And so that was the starting point, was just, okay, cordless phone and walk around. Then I discovered a stand-up desk. I forget who it was. It might have been Tim Ferriss. Again, way back in the day. And the test was not a full-on stand-up desk, because those barely existed, but I took my bookcase and I cleared off all the books in the bookcase, and I found the shelf that was the kind of the best height to put my laptop on, and I just tried standing there. And I think this is a good life hack, not just for standing up or not, but just in general. If you want to try something, don't go off and buy the most expensive thing and wait 3 weeks for it to be delivered. Just go try something right now. So if you want to try stand-up desks, don't go buy a stand-up desk. Don't do that. That's the worst thing you can do. Don't spend a ton of money on a stand-up desk and then wait 3 weeks for it to be delivered to you. Just take a bookcase or take some boxes and put it at the right height and see how it feels. You want to start a YouTube channel? Perfect. Don't go researching and spend weeks buying the gear and the lights and the cameras and all that stuff. And most of the stuff in these little experiments end up failing, and now you bought all this gear that's just sitting in your garage, your closet or your mom's basement. The best thing to do is just start. Find a small way to just get started. And so I stood up at my bookcase, and the first day I didn't last very long. 20 minutes, 40 minutes, it didn't last very long. When you're not used to standing up, it's really hard. It's like, I need to sit down. And after that first 20 or 40 minutes, I got tired and I had to sit down because my body wasn't used to it. But while I was standing up, it's like, I really like this. This is cool. I have more energy. In just answering emails and whatever else I was doing at the time, I had more energy. So I'm going to try it again. And that 20 minutes became 30 minutes, became 40, became 2 hours, became 4 hours, became 6 hours, to the point where it's like I could just stand up all day long. It became weird when people came over to my office because there were no chairs to sit down at. So when we're doing a meeting, I'm standing up, and so they were standing up because there were no chairs, and it felt awkward to have one person standing, one person sitting. And then they start getting tired because after 20 minutes of standing up, they got tired. So I had to bring chairs back into my office to host meetings, and but that was the process. That was the starting point, and it turned out to have all sorts of positive health benefits. And I had foot issues. I had the things that you put in your shoes. What are they called? Not implants. Customized soles, whatever. I was going to in my 20s. I was going to a chiropractor almost every week because my back was a mess. My knees were achy and cracking every time I was walking. Like, my body seemed to be falling apart in my 20s. I'm now 42 in May. I'm 42, and my body is in better condition than I was in my 20s, because I think a big factor is because I'm on a trampoline all day long. Instead of sitting all day long with terrible posture and my body falling apart, now I'm jumping on a trampoline all day long. It's easy on my joints, my body. I'm happy. I have more energy, and as a result, I'm healthier. The move to a trampoline came because I was already standing up for at least 5 years, maybe more. And I saw Tony Robbins do his seminars, and backstage he would always jump before he goes on stage. Tony jumps a couple times on his rebounder. Rebounder is just a mini trampoline, not like the giant trampolines like what you have in your backyard. A rebounder is a mini version of it that you can keep in your office or your home or whatever. He jumps a couple times on his rebounder, sprays something in his mouth, does like a spin, and then walks on stage. If you ever see him backstage, that's what he's always doing. He jumps on his trampoline a couple times, puts something in his mouth, spins around, goes out on stage, ready to go. And so that's pretty cool. I wonder what he's spraying in his mouth. And I like the whole trampoline thing. If I'm already standing up, why not get a trampoline and try? And so again, what's the easiest way to go off and do it? Well, I went to my local Walmart and I bought a rebounder and brought it home, and had to adjust the height of my desk and had to raise it beyond what the max height was. And the rebounder I bought ended up breaking shortly after because it wasn't designed to be jumped on that often, all day long, every day, right? But whatever, it's fine. Lessons learned, right? You figure it out and you think, is this worth doing or not? Take the idea that you've got and try, because again, the biggest thing that most people are missing is just momentum. You're just not trying. You've got this idea, and we spend our best energy planning it and ideating and researching and what's the perfect trampoline and what's the perfect stand-up desk. And you spend all that energy researching, and then tomorrow you wake up, or the next week you come back, or the next month or whatever, and like nothing has happened on it still. You have all these great intentions, but there's not enough momentum. And so idea to action. Trust that your ideas come to you for a reason, and go do something about them. And so go get the stand-up desk by creating boxes in your office. Go get the cheapest trampoline at Walmart and just jump on it and see how it feels. It's ended up changing my life. So I'm not used to sitting down anymore. We actually moved. We just sold our place. We bought a new place, and I moved into one of the rooms as a temporary place while we were showing our place, because my office backdrop is not very conducive to selling the house. Most people are not used to a stand-up desk, a giant stand-up desk and trampoline and all that. And so I took my office down because when you're selling a home, you wanted to appeal to everybody. And I sat down for, I don't know, a couple weeks while we were selling our place. And all of a sudden, the back issues came back. I was cracking my back a lot. My knees started to hurt again. My feet started to hurt again. My posture was terrible again. And I realized, wow, this is why I stand up. So 2 lessons in this video. The first is try standing up. You know, you'll probably have more energy. You'll probably feel better. It's probably better for your health. People say sitting is the new smoking, right? So try standing up and just give it a shot. And don't stress out if you get tired after 20 minutes like I did the first time through. It's okay. But do you have more energy while you're working, while you're standing up? And if so, then just keep going and just start with a bookshelf or some bookshelves. Or some boxes, whatever, just to get started. And the second lesson is just do something. Just momentum, imperfect action. The ideas that you have in your head are great. They're genius. You need to do something. You need to stop putting the gas pedal on the energy that's flowing through you. Like greatness is flowing through you, and you're actively saying stop, stop, stop. Do something. Find the smallest possible way today, like right now, the smallest possible way to take that awesome idea in your head and build some momentum towards it, because the only thing you're missing towards your great life is the momentum.
Rule number 3, alter your behavior.
I think we play small by default. I think, man, we are capable of so many amazing things, and we're constantly living in fear and excuses and reasons why we can't do something, and we have it trained in us from a young age. Our parents, our family, our friends, our teachers. Think about, who did you learn about life from? Probably people who didn't like their own life. You know, who did you learn about careers from? Probably people who did not have a great career, you know, who barely are enjoying what they're doing in their work, and they're living in scarcity mindset of this is all I can do. And that's what we've learned from. And, you know, guidance counselors at school, do they love what they're doing? I mean, I think this is a huge problem, and we're stuck living small and living scared and living as a result way below our potential of what we could do and who we could help. I think it's a big problem. I think lack of belief is the world's #1 problem. It's what I wake up every day trying to do, trying to help, trying to create. And so how do you get out of it? Well, I think the starting point is being around the people who are living and doing the things that you want to do. I think the way to 10x your results is not to 10x your effort. Sometimes it is, especially at the very beginning. Sometimes the answer is just do more work. But once you're at your max capacity, you get to a point where you can't actually 10x your work anymore. It's changing your mindset. It's getting new leverage. It's busting through limiting beliefs, because just working harder will not be the answer anymore, right? Is it working harder or working smarter? Well, it's both, right? You have to, working hard is your entry to the game. Nobody wins without working hard in anything. You have to work hard. But there's lots of people who work hard who never accomplish their goals, who don't end up succeeding or winning because they're not working smart. So it's always a mix of both. And so if you're not working hard, then you don't have a shot. But assuming you are working hard and you want to 10x again, then it's a shift in mindset and a shift in limiting beliefs. So how do you identify the limiting beliefs? How do you figure out where it's holding you back? How do you break through the paradigm and hit a new level? A lot of it is environmental. You know, the current thinking that you have was environmental. It's your parents and your family and your guidance counselor and teachers and family, etc. That's environmental. You've adopted their beliefs, and unfortunately a lot of them are negative limiting beliefs. There's probably some that are very positive, but a lot of them you've adopted that actually don't serve you anymore for what you're capable of and where you want to go, especially what's possible now in today's environment. So the shift is in a new environment, to start to surround yourself with the people who are like the people who you want to be, who believe the thing that you want to believe, and whoever's more confident wins. And so if you're around people who are deeply confident that the thing that they're after is possible, or they've already gone and accomplished it, if they deeply believe it and you just kind of don't believe it, they'll pull you into the land of belief, because they are more confident in their belief than you are in the disbelief. And so it's finding the people who are living the life that you want, or at least aggressively chasing it down. They will motivate you, inspire you to want to go and live your life as well. So, well, how do we do that, right? I mean, it'd be great to be able to hang out with Warren Buffett and Elon Musk and all these people every day, but we can't. So how do you do it? Well, step one, I think, is just through content. It's why I make so many videos on all of my channels. It's why I've stayed consistent over a decade of making content. Why? Because I think when you are around the people, even just visually, even just through a computer screen or a cell phone, it starts to shift your beliefs and your mindset and what you can do. Even for me, I make these videos for myself so that I can be around John Assaraf and Warren Buffett and Elon Musk and Oprah Winfrey, etc., because they inspire me to want to be bigger. Looking at Elon Musk as an example, the news of the day right now as I'm recording this video is he's looking at buying Twitter. And when somebody asked me yesterday on Instagram, do I think Elon Musk will buy Twitter? I said, no, I don't think he'll buy Twitter, but it's probably not a good idea to underestimate Elon Musk. Just in general, right? Lots of people have underestimated him, and he's proven them wrong many times. And I just like the thinking. One of the things I love about Elon Musk is whenever I watch his stuff, it challenges me to think bigger. Why would Elon Musk, logically, if you're thinking through it, if you were running Tesla and SpaceX, would you have thought about buying Twitter? Would that enter the realm of possibility? This is the difference between small thinking and expansive thinking. Like in his world, it makes sense. And he wants to have a backup plan for the planet. Whenever I think I'm thinking big, Elon Musk is trying to have a backup plan for the entire planet. I realize I'm still thinking way too small. And the point of that is not to beat yourself down, like, oh, I'm not as big a thinker as Elon Musk, right? A lot of people say comparison is a thief of joy, and a lot of people will get off of social media because they're comparing themselves to others. I think comparison can be a fantastic tool. I think it can be amazing, because when you are running with people who only make you feel good about yourself but based off of their smaller accomplishments, then you stay stuck and you stay a big fish in a small pond. I think competition is amazing, but using it in a positive way, as opposed to looking at someone like Elon Musk and saying, oh, he's so much smarter than me, he thinks so much bigger than me, I suck, I'm never going to be able to do that. Look at it as hey, this is what's possible. There's not that big a gap between you and Elon Musk. It shows that it's possible that you could do it too. If he can do it, then you can do it. He came from South Africa and immigrated to Canada, then immigrated to the United States. He had a father who he calls a monster, who beat him. He had his friends bully him and push him downstairs at school. Like he had all sorts of pain and trauma and struggles in his early life, and if he can overcome that to get to where he's at, I see it as so can you. And I see the comparison as an opportunity that when you see somebody else do something, it makes you feel a lot more confident that you can do it too. And so just use it in a positive way instead of a negative way. So whenever I see someone like Elon Musk, it's a challenge to myself, and looking at him trying to buy Twitter, it's like, what should I be doing? It's easy to get stuck in the same groove, but the groove can also be a rut, in that you're getting slow growth and improving where it could be a lot more expansive. You could be having exponential growth if you change your environment to be around the people who have expansive thinking, right? So step one is just through content, through aspirational mentors is what I call them. And Elon Musk, John Assaraf, Oprah Winfrey, people who you may never meet, but you can still learn a heck of a lot from. Step two is to then try to go to some events that change up your environment, right? If we're a product of our environment, then if you're always stuck in the same habit, the same house, the same routine, the same environment, then it's going to constrict the thinking. Have you ever noticed when you go on vacation, you come up with some great ideas? Why? Well, you've changed your environment. You've been influenced by new things, and it leads to more expansive thinking. So doesn't mean you have to go take a vacation to the beach or something this week, but what are some changes you can make to your environment? What are some conferences or events you can go to be around the people who think the way that you want to think, to inject some newness, some creativity, some ideas into you that will have you come back a stronger, bolder, more courageous person because you've broken some of the chains of the rut that you were in, that things that used to make sense, like, yeah, that makes sense for me to keep doing. All of a sudden you go away to a vacation, a conference, an event, you come back, it's like, you ever gone away and come back and wanted to be a different person, wanted to be working on new projects, new goals, come up with new ideas? I get ideas all the time when I'm traveling. Just think about if you're just constantly stuck. It doesn't mean you have to go travel on vacation. It may mean you take up salsa dancing. It may mean you try a new hobby. Take that idea that you've got and just go to it. Look at any events that are happening in your city, meetup groups, conferences, clubs that you can join and be a part of to meet new people and take on a new interest. And I promise you, they may not all work out in terms of this is my next career move, but it leads somewhere. It's a part of who you are. You take the learnings and the lessons from that, and it'll make you a better person, a better entrepreneur, and you'll find a creative way to mix things together. I think of Steve Jobs, who started Apple, who dropped out of university because he wasn't enjoying the classes, and he dropped in on calligraphy classes, drawing like text and letters for fonts, which made no sense. Like, why are you dropping out of this really practical school and material to then sit in on calligraphy? When are you ever going to use calligraphy? It made no sense, but he was interested in it. And what ended up happening was when he started the Apple and he created the Macintosh, it had the most fonts. It wasn't just boring computer fonts. There were a bunch of different fonts that he could use that people could then use in their word processing, etc. And it was the most beautiful computer at the time with unique fonts. Why? Well, because he pulled from his experience in his calligraphy classes. And how he describes it is you can't connect the dots looking forwards, only backwards. He didn't know going to the calligraphy class that, you know what, in 5 years I'm going to start a company and I'm going to have beautiful fonts as a part of it. He was just interested in calligraphy, so he went to the class not knowing how it ever working out, but trusting that the dots would at some point align in the future, right? So looking back, it makes sense. Oh, this and this and this all align to get me to where I'm at. But he wouldn't have known that unless he dropped out of school and dropped in on the calligraphy class. So it's changing the environment. It's being a part of new things. It's not just staying stuck in the same habits and same routines and same thing that you're doing constantly. And that will inject newness that will then allow you to be more creative and create amazing opportunities for your next goals. So step one is to be around aspirational mentors, to be around the people like an Elon Musk, Oprah Winfrey, etc., watching videos, content, interviews, podcasts, books that make you feel better, stronger, more courageous. Step two is to get out of your comfort zone and go to things, physical things, travel more, take on classes, say yes, go to conferences and events, just so that you expose yourself to new ideas and opportunities and come up with fresher ideas of what you could do with your life. And step three is to actually have humans in your life who you're around, who make you want to push and do more and be better. And this means, hey, if you're hanging out with Elon Musk, amazing, that's awesome. You're probably not doing that, but who can you hang out with who are on the same similar path as you? And that's where I love groups like Movement Makers that I created for thought leaders. But you know, if it's not Movement Makers, something else. But being around other people who are doing the thing, who believe in the same thing. If you're trying to run more, join a running club. You're trying to work out more, join a gym. If you want to be a thought leader, join Movement Makers. If you're like, join a club or a group where you can feel like you're not doing this alone, where you can talk to people about the journey that you're going on, where they'll understand you and not look at you like you're some kind of alien, like your family or friends might. Like, what are you talking about? What are you getting into, right? Join relevant Discord groups, like be a part of a community, because it's probably the biggest mistake I made early on in my life. I was doing everything all by myself. I had business partners, I guess, but I felt isolated, I felt alone, I didn't have friends, had nobody to talk to, and I really, really, really struggled. So find other people who are on this journey that you can do it with, because when you feel like you're doing it with other people and you're not alone, you'll be a lot more productive, a lot more effective, and have a lot more fun as well.
Rule number 4, stop thinking small.
Honestly, I think we're all thinking small. You're thinking small, I'm thinking small, we're all thinking small compared to what we're capable of. And I think we've been conditioned to think small. We've been conditioned by our upbringing, our family, our parents, our guidance counselors, our teachers, we've just been conditioned to think small because we're learning about life from people who also never thought big. And so because we are products of our environment, we have conditioned ourselves to think the same way as the people in our environment. And if you're not happy with your environment, and your environment is not around big people who've done amazing things or thinking big, then you will stay stuck thinking small as well. What I love about Naveen Jain is that he thinks big. You know, the first time I found his content, there were 3 people who I get recommended all the time. You should do a top 10 on this person. You should do an espresso on this person. You should profile this person. And there were 3 people who, for the first time, upon first consumption of their content, really blew me away. One was Denzel Washington. If you have not seen Denzel Washington, you should go watch his top 10. His backup plan for his life was being a minister, and he is a fire presenter. A lot of times when we do actors, it's really hard to get anything good out of the interviews that they're doing. But Denzel Washington is a whole other animal, so he really blew me away. The second was Priyanka Chopra, who had a just amazing set of interviews and super intelligent, bright woman. And the third was Naveen Jain, where I had no idea who this person is. You should do Naveen Jain. Great, go look him up. I was like, oh my gosh, this guy's amazing. I want more Naveen Jain in my life. I think that's a great sign. You know, like when you find people like that, even if you've never met them, and up until this year, I had never met Naveen Jain. I had the good fortune to just recently have him on my channel to do an interview in a collaboration. But up until that point, I'd never met him before. And when you find the people who make you think bigger, who make you feel more confident, who make you feel more bold, be around them more. This is my solution, right? I am trying to hang out, even if it's just virtually, with the people who inspire me to want to play a bigger game. You know, out of those 3 people, I haven't met Denzel Washington yet. I haven't met Priyanka Chopra yet. And up until, this year, I hadn't met Naveen Jain yet. But I can still be inspired by them. I can still learn from them. I can still look at their content, and they can still push me to become better. And I think a lot of us stay stuck and stay small because it's so good to feel important, and we end up being the big fish in a small pond. If you're watching this video, you are probably the one that's pouring into everybody else. You're probably the most optimistic person in your circle. You're probably the one who cares the most about the people around you. You're probably doing the most for the people in your circle, and you're the one people come to and say, hey, how do I X? How do I grow? How do I get better? How do I, you're the one that's advising and helping and pushing other people. Maybe pushing them too much. Does that make sense? Maybe you're pushing some people too much, but you're the most optimistic, most ambitious person in your circle, probably. That's great in a sense, in that you can pour and give back and help others along the way, but who's pushing you? If you don't have somebody pushing you to be better, to be stronger, to be greater, to be more ambitious, to think bigger, then you probably won't. It's really uncomfortable to think bigger. And if you don't have somebody inspiring you, pushing you, helping you, then you probably stay stuck. And that's what we need to change. And so it's a message for you, but it's a message for me equally so. And so step 1 in doing that, I think, is just changing the environment to be around the people who do inspire you. And chances are most of the people who do inspire you are not people who you have direct access to, and not people who are taking on an intern. Warren Buffett's not taking on an intern to go live with him for a year, as far as I know. So how do you do it? Well, the easy way is through content. I've learned so much and been inspired so much by just amazing people through the content on my own channel. I make these videos for me because I need them, because I need to believe more in myself, and then I share that with you, and thankfully enough of you like it that I can make it a business and hire a team and continue to make even more content. Because if it was just me, then it'd be a lot fewer videos coming up and a lot less profiles and a lot less content. So being around the people, and when you find people who really speak to you, who really get you going, who's like, yes, this is exactly what I need, then be around them more. Subscribe to their channels, buy their books, listen to their podcasts, be around them more. If they're speaking at an event, go to the event, because it'll push you to reach another level. And this is why it's so great to have so many people now. I'm passionate about helping bring new people onto to platforms like YouTube and getting their message out there, because some people will push you through things. Some people will hug you through things. Everybody has their own lens, and you'll connect with people in a different way. So you look at Eric Thomas, or you look at Jocko Willink, or you look at Andy Frisella, who are going to be very in your face, cut right to the truth, no BS, no excuses, no wiggle room, like get up and go chase down your life. You know, it's a hard push. They may be yelling at you, they're very intense, it's a hard push forward. And then there'll be other people like Oprah, like Brene Brown, like Dave Meltzer, who have a different approach. It's a much softer approach. They'll hug you through it. You know, some people will push you and yell at you to get through it, and some people will hug you through it. A lot of times the message is exactly the same. You know, Oprah's message is very similar to Eric Thomas's message. The difference is the delivery. Oprah will hug you through it, and Eric will push you through it. And it really just depends on what you need. There's no right or wrong. It's just, what do you need? And when you find the people who give you what you need, just be around it more. Be around it more, because no matter how much you watch one video, the impact will wear off, right? Like, you're waking up tomorrow the same person you were almost yesterday, maybe a 0.5% better. But you could watch this video and get all inspired, be like, yes, all right, I'm gonna chase things down, amazing, let's go. And you have energy for a few hours or for the day, but then you wake up tomorrow and that energy is gone, right? Has that happened to you? That energy suddenly is not there anymore? You don't feel as bold, or courageous, or ambitious as you were yesterday? Why? What happened? It's not that there's nothing wrong with you. That's just normal. Because you got an injection into your environment that took you to another level, and then it fell off because there was no consistency in the environment. So you are what you consistently do. So whatever you want to accomplish, whoever you want to be, to consistently surround yourself with people like that, because you're not getting enough in your home environment. Your home, your environment now, your life has been perfectly designed to keep you where you are. It's allowed you to get to where you are right now, amazing. And if that's where all you want to be, awesome, congratulations, you've done it. You've hit the jackpot. But if you want more, then your current environment is not designed to help you go and get more. And again, I'm talking to myself just as much as I'm talking to you, like saying these words out loud. It's like, what changes do I need to make to my environment? Who do I need to be hanging out with more, either in person or just through the video content, to make me want to push more, be more courageous, say bolder things, and have bigger aspirations and goals and dreams, and take bolder action towards accomplishing them, right? Makes a big difference. And so if you want to accomplish something, if it's business success or mindset success, then, you know, if it's just thinking bigger, then if you love Naveen Jain, be around Naveen Jain more. Watch all his interviews and listen to any podcasts that he does. And I did one on my main channel. We'll link that up at the end of this video. You can go watch if you want. If you want to improve your health and fitness, and you're tired of, you know, being on an Oreo diet, okay, you can make a choice and a decision that I want to be this person now. I want to be the person who works out. I want to be the person who takes care of my body, takes care of my health and energy. And that's awesome as a decision, but you need the environment to support you. And so now, if you're subscribing to health channels, if you're following people on Instagram who are working out and taking care of their bodies, it will make you want to live a healthier life. One of the ones that I love watching is Tom Bilyeu and his health theory show, where he's interviewing experts around health. And every time I listen, I was listening to one this morning, every time I watch, it makes me want to be a little bit healthier. You know, and the more that you're around that kind of stuff, the more you will take on the mindset. Similarly, if you're injecting poison, like if you're around negative people or you're consuming negative content, and that's most of the news and most of media, to be honest, is mostly negative. If you're surrounded by negativity constantly, and you're watching negative videos and reading negative news constantly, you will be a lot more negative. You'll be a lot more scared. You'll be a lot more scarcity mindset. You'll be a lot more afraid. You'll be a lot less positive and ambitious, because that's what you're feeding into your mind. So be very careful about now designing and engineering your environment. Your environment has happened to you. You know, you've had some control over it, but it's mostly happened to you. And now you can, with intent, change it to be more positive. If you had to ask yourself, if I wanted to surround myself with the most positive, encouraging, inspiring people who will make me more courageous, bold, and ambitious, who would those people be? What would that environment look like? And then make a choice. Change it. Change who you subscribe to. Change what you're listening and watching. Unsubscribe from all the channels that make you feel worse about yourself. Change your physical environment. What clothes are you wearing? What do you put on the wall around you? What's your background on your cell phone and on your computer? You start to change it. And when you change your environment, it'll force the change in your habits, in your mindset, and in your thinking.
Also, to make sure you're actually taking action after watching this video, I've designed a special free worksheet just for this video. The worksheet will highlight all of the lessons learned in this video, as well as pull out our 3 favorite learnings and quotes that will inspire you to actually do something. The worksheet will also give you space to write down what your key takeaways are and your specific plan of action to make sure you're getting results. If you want the worksheet designed specifically for this video, absolutely for free, there's a link in the description below. Go click on it and start building the momentum in your life and your business. I'll see you there.
Rule number 5, don't be afraid of failure.
If you're not afraid of failing, you're afraid of failing in front of other people. You will sing in the shower, but you won't sing on the street corner. Why? Because of the other people, because they may see you, because they may laugh at you, because they may say, look at that person, they're so dumb, right? You're not afraid of failing, not just by yourself. You're afraid of failing and who is going to watch. And so that becomes really important because it now means you're living your life based off of other people's expectations and judgments. And maybe that's people in your own family, maybe that's people you know, maybe that's your mom, or maybe that's random people. You're afraid of the judgment of unknown YouTube commenters leaving some kind of feedback on your video telling you how much you suck, right? We're afraid of the people that we care deeply about and their perspective and opinions on us. And we're also afraid of the people who we don't know yet, who are just out there in the world, on the internet, who might come and leave negativity on whatever you're going to be creating. So you're not actually afraid of failing. You'll do it all the time, but it's failing and who is going to see us fail. And so there's a lot to unpack inside of that. Let's start with, what is your big goal? What do you want to accomplish? What mission are you on? Who are you trying to serve? Who are you trying to help? And in order for you to go off and accomplish those things and serve to your highest capability, you're going to have to do things that will be scary, where you're going to risk failure, right? If you are never risking any kind of failure, then you're living your life so small and so safe that you don't like your life. If there's nothing in your calendar in the next month that you are excited by, that your heart's getting, you're scared, right? You're nervous, right? You're like, oh my gosh, that thing's happening. If there's nothing in your calendar that's like that, you don't like your life. That's honestly most people. You're just photocopying your same life over and over and over and over and over again. That's what most people wake up and do. I'm sitting here in the Costco parking lot, right? Like most people, you just wake up and you're photocopying the same day you had yesterday and last week and last year. And that's not a life. So you have to be willing to risk some kind of failure, which would potentially risk how other people see you and judge you. I used to not be able to record videos like this. I remember the first video I ever recorded in public was I was walking down the street at my old house and I was challenged by my agent. He said, you have to record videos in public. Like, Steve, make videos in public? Are you crazy? I can barely make videos at home. I'm going to now make them in public? He's like, you have to do it. Like, okay, great. So I'm walking down the street carrying my big video camera at the time, and I made sure I picked a really quiet section of the street where nobody was usually outside, because it made me feel like I was recording the video and doing the task, but there was nobody around, so I wasn't really doing the task. And I remember there was a male woman who was dropping off mail, and as soon as I saw her and I felt like I was in auditory range of her, then I pulled the camera down, and then as I passed her, I started filming again. It's like, I did the assignment, Steve. Look, I filmed outside. I didn't really do the assignment. Why? Because I'm afraid of a male woman's opinion of me. Like, she doesn't even care about me. She's living her life, doing her thing. And so something like this, now I'm sitting here in a parking lot filming and people are walking by and some people are watching like, what's this guy doing? You just keep going. You just keep making, because fear of other people's judgments cannot be a good enough reason for you to play small. Not anymore. Not if you want to do great things. Most of the people judging you don't like their own lives. And any judgment they have of you is just a reflection of self. So there's a couple of hacks that I've used to be able to get through it that might serve you. Number one is studying successful people. And anytime you study successful people, you find out that they failed along the way to their success. A lot of times you may just see on the surface just their accomplishments and list of what they've done and all that, and it can feel imposing. You know, how are they so perfect and I suck and I have all these fears and insecurities? But if you look deeper into their story and maybe watch some of their interviews or videos, you'll see that they struggled a lot and they had multiple failures on their path to success. And I used to, before my channel came out, I used to read stories of different famous entrepreneurs and how they got started, and, you know, the kind of 0 to 1 story, because it made me feel like it was possible. That looking at Warren Buffett now is crazy. You know, it's like he's done so much, you can't relate. But how did he go from 0 to 1? And what did he struggle with? And where did he fail? That was inspiring to say, hey, okay, if he could get through that, now me, decades later, with a lot more opportunity and technology and resources, and I could do that. You know, I could do something similar. So that inspired me to get out of my cocoon and to be around people who are doing amazing things. Inspired me to want to go off and do more. It's also why I make videos like this, so that you can learn from Warren Buffett and all the people that we profile. Yeah, because I think the more that you're around that, the more you'll win. I don't know Warren Buffett personally. You probably don't. Maybe you do. Maybe you can text him and ask for advice. I can't, not yet. But I can watch his videos and I can learn from him and I can get better and I can improve myself by being around him. And the more that I watch his videos, the more I can think like him, just a little bit. And that's important, because that shifts you forward. So being around more successful people will shift you towards success, even if they are virtual, through a computer screen, through videos, podcasts, books, etc. The second thing is teaching myself that I do difficult things. And I think that's really important, because we've accepted fear as a good enough reason for you not to do the thing. You've accepted other people's opinions as a good enough reason for you not to do the thing. My trigger words, I call them play bigger triggers. You come up with the triggers that will allow you to play bigger. So if I say scary, difficult, or hard, then I go off and do it, because I want to be the person who does the things that are scary, difficult, or hard to myself. And that's why I still make videos. That's why I'll write books and speak on stage. I find all of those things incredibly scary, difficult, and hard. So what is it for you? And when you can stop accepting scary, difficult, or hard as a good enough reason, like I want to do it, but I'm scared. Okay, well, that's not a good enough reason. You've already you've pre-decided that that's not a good enough reason, so you have to go off and do the thing. So scary, difficult, hard. You say it, you write it, you think it, you tell somebody else it. As long as that is the reason for you to put the brakes on your life, it's not a good enough reason anymore. There has to be something stronger than scary, difficult, or hard. Otherwise, you have to go and take action. And you start to teach yourself that you are the kind of person who takes on things that are scary, difficult, and hard. So number one was being around successful people and study them and learn from them and get mentorship from them, even if it's just through a video. Number two is that you do difficult things. And then number three is focus on service. And if you understand that the thing that you're afraid to do is not just for you, it's for other people, right? If you're an entrepreneur, you're trying to create a business, it's not just for you. There's selfish goals of I want to make money and provide for my family and live a great life, etc. But above that needs to be service and helping others, that you're creating something that's going to bring value to other people, that it's not just about you making money, but you're providing a real service, something really valuable to other people that's going to make their life better. If I'm making videos, it's not just about me and numbers on the channel, it's about you. And hopefully for one of you watching this video, it has a big impact today. When I speak on stage or write the books, it's not about me, it's about who I can help serve. And whenever you can deeply connect to who you can help serve, at least for me, it gives me the courage to go off and do the thing. If I'm terrified to speak on stage, I'll often look behind the curtain at the audience and I'll try to find a couple people. It's like, I'm doing it for that person. I'm doing it for him. I'm doing it for her. I've got a message that I can share that can help them. And that gives me the confidence and the courage to go do the thing, because we'll show up for other people more than we'll show up for ourselves. And so when you can tie what you're doing to other people, to value, to service, to helping them, it'll give you more confidence and courage to go off and do the thing that you need to do. And so I call that the push and the hug. So the I do difficult things, I do scary things is the push. Like, get out there and do this, Carmichael, let's go. And the service is the hug. Like, hey, I'm not doing this just for me. I'm doing it for all the people out there as well. And some days you need more of the hug. Some days you need more of the push. And you just lean in on what you feel you need most. You know, there's some days when pushing yourself harder is not the answer. You need a hug. And there are some days where hugging yourself more is not the answer. You need the push. And so having the self-awareness to know, okay, I need the push right now, or I need the hug right now, and then going off and doing that will give you the momentum that you need. Failure is going to happen. And the biggest failure, again, is the fear of other people seeing you fail. And as long as you live your life by the expectations of other people, you will live small forever. And if you can flip it to say, I'm doing this to help others. I'm doing this because I want to live a great life. And I'm doing this because I do difficult things. When you can make that shift happen, you start to accomplish your goals.
Rule number 6, build connection with people.
As an introvert, making connections always seemed incredibly scary to me. I hate going to networking events. I'm not the life of a party. I don't know how to approach people and ask them questions. And it always just felt, I think at the end of the day, very fake and inauthentic and just not me. You know, I don't know how to introduce myself, and I don't know what to talk about. I want to sit here and talk. I'm here in Arizona, and it's beautiful and it's sunny and it's amazing, but I don't want to just talk about the weather. You know, I don't want to talk about boring, superficial stuff. And it took me a long time to get comfortable coming to events. And this is actually a great moment because I'm here at Genius Network. I just came out of a 2-day event where people are paying $25,000 to be part of, and the next 2 days, it's another event where they're paying $100,000 to be part of, and I'm a guest here speaking at both events. And I would have never, like younger Evan would have never come to something like this, because not that it's not valuable, just I would have been too afraid to network and to ask for help and to introduce myself and all of those things. What I've discovered, if you're an introvert, what I've discovered is that introverts are great listeners and we care. And you can be a fantastic networker if you're an introvert. But your goal is not to know the entire room, and the goal is not to run into the event and say, look at me, here's what I do, and wear the shiniest suit and be the loudmouth. If that's you, awesome, roll with it. But if it's not, your goal is to just connect with a few people on a really meaningful level. I've connected over the past couple of days with some amazing people who've given me some amazing advice and connections and experiences and just amazing people. But it hasn't been, there's lots of people who I haven't connected with. You know, there were maybe 50 people here over the past 2 days, and in the more expensive group, I think there's 30 people or 20 people coming, and I probably won't get to talk to everybody. Probably not, I mean, maybe. But I'm not judging myself for not knowing everybody. I'm not judging myself for how many business cards I leave with. Do people still use business cards? I don't have any business cards. I'm not judging myself by if I connected with them or not. It's more, I'd rather spend time with a few people who I can connect with on some kind of level, and that ends up leading to so much better things. Joe Polish is the guy who runs this, so this is his office, and he's the one puts these events together, and he's known as the most connected man in the world, right? Some of his bios and websites will say, when people talk about him, he's the most connected man in the world. In hanging around him for the past few days, I can understand why. So if we're gonna reverse engineer Joe Polish's success, and he'll say that he's, on the introverted side, he's invited me to his home. I came in a couple days early and helped him with his team and his channel, and he invited me to stay at his home. Today's our day off in between the two events, and he's invited me to go work out with him and go do some IVs with vitamins in it and go sit in a hot sauna, then jump in an ice cold bath, and asking me how I'm doing and what I'm up to, and if I need anything, or if I want to use his office. I mean, I'm using his office, I guess the outside, to film today. It's too beautiful today not to film outside, but whatever I need. He doesn't just do that for anybody. You know, he's not just going to open up his home for anybody. And he's really trying to spend time. I think about me if I would do that, and I'm thinking, man, probably not. And so that's maybe a learning for me, because I've run events, I've hosted my own events, and they usually just knock me out. When I've hosted my Thought Leadership Academy in Toronto, it would knock me out. I mean, the last day of my event, I remember I passed out. Like, I had a break of 15 minutes, and I passed out and fell asleep on a floor, like on my dance floor, because I was giving so much, and then my body gave out on me. And so I couldn't imagine then also, like, Joe's got such a crazy week. Think about how much people are paying him, right? They pay him $25,000 for the event that just finished, and then $100,000 for the event that's coming up. You got to deliver some value, right? If people are coming and they're paying $100,000 to be here, that's got to be, at least for me, incredibly stressful to do that. And while he's in the middle of all of that, he's worried about me and how I'm doing, and if I want to stay with him, and if I want to go do some vitamin IVs, and if I'm being looked after, if I need an internet connection or a place to work, and the amount of texts that he sent while he's in the sauna or working out or doing his meetings. I was like, how are you still thinking about me? You've got so much going on. I mean, it's something that I'm honestly inspired by, and I find aspirational. But he does it so well, and it's like he can't do that for everybody. And so, I'm grateful, I guess, that he saw something in me that he'd want to spend that kind of time with. But he's very selective over who he brings in, and then once you're in, he's going to be the greatest resource of all time. And I think that's how you win, ultimately. At least for me, I think it's a fantastic model for me to learn from and keep trying to do better at. And that, how can you win as an introvert when you are networking and trying to help people? Introverts are great listeners. Introverts care. We want to help. We want to serve. And we can't do it for everybody, because if we let too many people in, then we have no energy for ourselves. And recognize that that's how that's your secret superpower. That's your superpower. Your superpower, my superpower, is to find just a few people at every place you go to. Your goal is not to meet the whole event. It's to meet a few people and figure out how you can help them and genuinely help them, like genuinely serve them, not just, if I help them do this and they're going to help me do that, right? Don't approach it as a transaction. I think introverts are great at this, right? It's not a transaction. We value relationships, but are too afraid to go up and say hi to people and don't like the fluffy talk. So just make it a goal to find a few people and be of service, and great things happen. One of the things I've taken away and just reinforced from the past couple of days is great things happen to me. And I'm actually becoming less of a goal person. Like, where do you want to be next year? I have no idea, because great things happen to me. Because if you keep pouring into other people and keep bringing value and keep helping, great things will happen to you that you never thought of, that you never thought would exist, and yet here they are now showing up in your life. And so a challenge for you would be to think about whether it's the next event you're going to, or even just some people in your network. Like, who do you already know? Who are good people? Be in the business of collecting good people. Like, who do you already know who's a good person, who you want to serve and help on a deeper level, and just find a way to reach out and help them. Be of service. I make a list of the top kind of 100 people that I want to stay in touch with, because I'll forget to stay in touch. I'm too present-minded focused. But if I haven't stayed in touch with them in the past 90 days, I'll find some way to help, whether it's sharing something on social, whether it's making a video, giving them some YouTube advice, just connecting, asking how it can be a resource, I schedule in the ongoing connection because these people have helped me a lot and I want to continue to help them. And if you just go in strategy, continue to help successful people will lead to you having more success because they will find ways to come back and help you. You're almost guilting them to do it. Even better is to not even be as strategic about it. Just by putting out good energy, just by serving others, just by using that good karma, it comes. And in the process of giving, if you can remind yourself that great things happen to you, that if I just keep showing up and serving and helping and doing my very best every day, great things will happen to me. Great things will happen to you. Great things will happen to you. You just have to keep going.
Rule number 7, think like an entrepreneur.
I think entrepreneurs are going to solve every problem. I think whatever problem there is in the world, entrepreneurs are going to be the ones who solve it. And there's definitely a place for government and everything else, but I just default to thinking it's us, it's entrepreneurs, we're going to do it. We see a problem, we want to fix it. Be the change you want to see in the world. And that's really at the crux of a successful business. When people ask me, how do you make money as an entrepreneur? Well, you solve a problem with something that you love doing. If you are solving somebody else's problem that they're struggling with, you can get paid to do it. And if you love doing that thing, then that's how you start having a business, right? That can have success, long-term, sustainable. If you solve a problem, but you don't love doing it, you're gonna end up burning out, phasing out, people will be better than you at it. It won't be sustainable because you don't love the thing. And if you just love the thing, but you're not solving a problem, then you've got a hobby, right? If you love doing something, but it doesn't solve anybody's problem, you've got a hobby. And it could be fulfilling and enriching for the soul, but that's not a business. It's in that combination of what solves a real problem that you enjoy doing, that's how you start to make money. I think one of the biggest problems though for entrepreneurs is we don't know what the problem is. We think we know what the problem is, but we don't know what the problem is, especially when it's for ourselves. We think that we know what our problems are, but we don't actually know our problems because we're too in the thing. Have you ever noticed how it's easier to point out somebody else's problems? Like, you should be doing this. You know what's wrong with this business? They should be doing that. But it's harder to look at ourselves and say, here's the biggest problem that I'm facing right now. At least I find this as a challenge. I'm sitting here at Genius Network. This is it's a mastermind, it's a success circle of people who are having 7, 8, 9-figure businesses, and they meet once a month to help each other out. And one of my favorite exercises is when you basically go down and it's called hot seat, and you think about what your biggest problem is, and they put you in groups, and then you're explaining your problem to the other people in your group, and you get suggestions, you get feedback. And these are all, peers, people who've done equally or maybe even more things than you have, and it's great to get, at least I think, a fresh perspective. And so yesterday, one of the members that I was in that group with, he came up and he said, my biggest problem is I need to have more structure in my life. I need to be more intentional with my time. I'm too all over the place. I'm too, creative and I, it's got me this far, but it's not going to be the thing that gets me to the next step. I need to have more discipline and schedule. And the first person started giving him some advice, and she was telling him how she sets her schedule and gives some feedback. And the thing that just kept flowing through my mind, and when it came to me to give advice, I just asked him the question, do you even want this? Do you even want this? And he's like, it sounds like prison. As a guy's actually been in prison before, so he knows what that feels like. He's like, when I think about it, when I talk about it, it feels like I'm in prison. And that is a classic case for a lot of entrepreneurs who want freedom, who are creative, who want to be out. Like, creativity is messy. Creativity is messy. And so you can't be productive and you can't be efficient if you're being creative. And knowing a little bit about him, said, dude, that's not your problem. See, this is where we got caught up in our own traps, in our own thinking, because we can't self-diagnose very well. We often need people to help us. So when he says, my problem is I'm not being intentional enough with my time and I'm wasting a lot of time, I need to be more structured, that's not his problem. In fact, what he needs to do is the exact opposite. He needs to be spending more time in his zone of genius. He needs to be spending more time being creative. He needs to have the freedom to be able to spend 3 days swimming with alpacas if that's the thing that is in his mind, because it's going to lead to some awesome new creation. That if you take a creative genius like he is and you force him into a structure and a schedule, then he's going to end up in a prison, like he said. And just imagine, if he lives a week like that versus a month like that versus 6 months like that versus a year like that, the more he's trapped in that prison, the less effective he's actually going to be. He might be really efficient and productive for a short amount of time, but he's going to end up hating his life, and he's not going to birth any new creative things into the world, and he's out of his zone of genius. And so his real problem is he doesn't have the person on his team to be that number 2 to take things over. And he hasn't assigned that person the responsibilities or given them permission to be able to run with those things. He's already built a 7-figure business. So it's not like I'm talking to somebody who's brand new startup, doesn't know what he's doing, right? This is a already successful entrepreneur. But again, it's easy to spot the problems in other people's businesses and other people's lives and sometimes in our own. And so the problem was different than the problem that he thought he had. And solving the right problem by getting some perspective will change his life. Just as I was talking and expressing what I thought about him, you could see that he starts to come alive. And at the end, he's like, I feel that. And this is the guy who's really in tune with body and energy. And he's like, I feel that. And he's like touching his heart, as he's doing it. And like, thank you, and what a gift. And so we solved the right problem. And so if you are struggling right now, I think one of the best things you can do is one, model success. So go find the people who've done what you're trying to do and see what resonates. Bill Gates saved my business, even though I've never met him, because I had a software company and I looked at Bill Gates, who started a software company, and that's what I modeled, and it started to work. But I think even more importantly, if you're really struggling right now, is to be around other people who might be able to help. Because you're around some people, even if you're shy and introverted like me, you still have some people around you. The problem is they can't tell you what the problem is. Their version of the problem is something you don't want to hear. I don't believe in negative or toxic people. I don't think that's what's going on, but they're, hurt people. So they could be in a lot of pain. They could be hurt. They have a different perspective, one that you don't want their life. You don't respect their opinion on the thing that you're asking about. And so you're just probably around the wrong people. And to be able to change that, to shift that, you might be able to, this group here, one group was $25,000 a year to be in, the other's $100,000 to be in. So you may not be able to afford to go to a group like that, but you don't need it, because you don't need it yet. The most important thing is momentum, to start building, to start being around more positive, optimistic, happy people who you do respect, you can do something with. I made a group called Movement Makers, and every 2 weeks we meet, and these are people who want to be thought leaders, who want to share, want to help, have a message on their heart and need to get out to the world. And it's great to be around me, and I teach and I share and I give my perspective. But the biggest learning, I think, honestly, is by them being connected to each other, by them doing challenges and projects together, by them interviewing each other on their channels, so that they're not alone and they have people to talk to and connect with and feel like this matters and there's some momentum. Because whatever you want to do, the people around you don't understand it, right? If you're an entrepreneur, you're a little bit crazy. It's awesome. Like, high five, I love you, celebrate. But you're a little bit crazy and different, and the people around you don't understand you. And some people might just be supportive, just not know what to tell you. And other people might be straight out negative and say, stop doing that. Be practical, be realistic, go get a job, go to school, go live a safe life. And you don't want that life. And so you need to start being around the people, collect good people who support you, who cheer you on, who believe in you, who say that you can do things, who still push you, but in a positive, loving way forward, as opposed to a negative way down, that makes you feel like things are possible. And so how do you find those people? Well, you could join a group, right? Genius Network might be a fit for you if you've got a big budget. Movement Makers might be a fit for you if you're trying to be a thought leader. But actively look for people, actively look for events and conferences and groups, even if it's a free meetup group at the beginning. Like, actively look to be around people who are close to you, or online groups that you can join, but that are around the same interests as you. Because when you're around the people who are trying to do the same thing that you are trying to do, even if they haven't quite done it yet, it's not only mentoring where they've done it and they're showing you the ropes, even if they're trying to do it and you're trying to do it, to be around people who are ambitious, who want to chase down their dream and goals and achieve something, right, and make something of their lives. If you're around those people, it will just fill you with more energy. it will fill you with more energy and make you feel like hope is possible. That'll be my immediate action item. To, yes, have the environment, pay attention to who you subscribe to on YouTube and who you follow on Instagram and the books that you're reading and the content you're consuming. Does it lift you up? Does it make you feel better and belief and give you hope and strategies and tactics on what to actually do? And look at your circle. And are you with the right people? And if not, then just don't make it some big thing that you have to go join this giant group that's super expensive. Just start with, who can I talk to right now? You know, who's trying to do this thing with me too? Who's even at my level that I can build and grow and learn with? And if you just switch your mindset to start to look, to start to search, to go to Google and type in your city and look for groups, or to think about the industry you want to be in, like how to be a thought leader or how to be a XYZ, whatever it is that you are in, whatever your business is, and to find groups of people who are doing it. You know, you want to be the Toastmasters for speakers or whatever it is, there's a group to just join and try it. Because, man, when you are around people who are doing things, it just breathes so much more life, energy, and momentum into your mission.
Rule number 8, build your limiting beliefs.
You have no idea what you're capable of. You have no idea. You have no idea the person you could be, the things you could accomplish, the things you can do, the people you can serve. You have no idea. That's why I don't like 10-year goals. 10-year goals. Think about who you used to be 10 years ago. You know, could that person accurately, with any degree of certainty, predict where you could be right now? No. Like, if you're growing and you're learning and you're improving and you're expanding, you're investing in yourself, there's no way that you know where you're going to be in 1 year, let alone 5 years or 10 years. You have no idea what you're capable of. And so it comes down to questioning everything. To question what you can and can't do. You know, we're told the story growing up of what you should do, and we're told everything, right? You're told when to show up and where to go and what to wear and what to eat and at what age you should get married and what kind of career you should go into, right? We're told we should do all these things. You're told, you're like, who? You know, nobody ever thought to ask us what we want for our lives. And you may not even know, and that's okay. Like, you may know where you want to go next, but you may not ultimately know the final destination. It's awesome. You know, I think if you know the final destination, you're thinking small. Apart from having a mission, you know, the mission, the purpose. Why do you do what you do? I want to solve the world's biggest problem. People don't believe in themselves enough. That's what I'm chasing down every day. Do I know where I'm going to be in a year? Nope. Am I still making videos? Probably, but who knows? Like, question everything. I want people to believe in themselves more. What's the best way to do that? Right now, it's through YouTube. But I think a lot of times people have too certain of a plan, and then they end up playing small, because there's nothing wrong with having goals and plans, but sometimes you need to jump off that. If you have a 10-year goal, quite often you need to jump off that goal 2 years in, because something better has come along that actually better serves who you are right now, because the goal you set was for who you used to be. You know, have you felt that? And so I'm here at Genius Network, and this is a group of super successful entrepreneurs that meets once a month in masterminds and talk about their business, and pay a lot of money to be a part of something like this. And every time I'm around people who are having a high degree of success, I always try to have them pick me apart. So when we do, there's an exercise called hot seats, where you go around the table and you basically share what you think your biggest problem is. And whenever it gets to my turn, I just want people to ask me questions, because your biggest problem is you don't know what your biggest problem is. Right? Your biggest problem is you don't know what your biggest problem is. If you knew what your biggest problem was, you can go and solve it. For entrepreneurs, for ambitious people, you've got goals. It's like, you don't know what the real problem is. The problem you think you have is a problem. You know, the problem you think you have, yes, very much is a problem, but there's a deeper problem underneath it that you're missing, that I'm missing. So this is where questioning everything becomes important. My default has become, instead of pretending like I know everything and I know all my problems, that I don't know anything, and ask me questions. And in the process of asking me questions and learning about me, maybe you come up with some insight that I'd never seen before. Everybody has their own way of processing giving advice, you know? So I'm around people here. Everybody here has a 7 or 8 figure or 9 figure business, and people here have sold their businesses for 9 figures. Crazy. Awesome. And so they have their own way of processing things and asking questions and breaking somebody down. So instead of me coming in with the question and having them try to fit into my box, I'd rather fit into theirs. Because in trying to understand how they process things, it'll probably make me stretch and grow and learn. And I'm probably gonna get a better result because they're gonna see something that I don't see. And so in the process of questioning everything, when people can break you down and you're open to it, right? Because we hold on to our identity, like, no, that's not gonna work for me. You know, even, oh, got a bee. I am allergic to bees. Maybe I should question that. I don't feel like questioning that today, though. Do not want to get stung by a bee. I once got stung by a bee, and only time in my life I've been stung by a bee, and I was on the floor, and my back just swelled up from the bee sting. Anyway, maybe question everything except bee stings. How about that? There's been times when people have given me advice, and it made sense, and it really fit. And sometimes when it didn't, and even if it doesn't make sense, what I'll default in my head to saying is this is either nothing, like the person didn't read me correctly, or it's the whole thing. Think about it. If you're really opposed to somebody's advice or feedback for you, if somebody gives you great advice, like, oh wow, that's really cool, I should go and do that, cool. They met you where you were at and you understand it. But there'll be other times when it doesn't feel right. And it could be that it just wasn't a fit and they're giving you the wrong advice, or you're so blind, and this is what gets me excited, is maybe I'm so blind, maybe I believe my story so much that the thing that you're talking about is actually the whole thing. Like it's all I should care about. Because figuring out how to solve that, because I'm so tied to my own story that I'm not questioning enough. I'm coming back to the B spot, hopefully it's gone. I'm not questioning enough, and figuring that out becomes the whole unlock. So a quick story on this. I did a life coaching session with Gary Vee's life coach, Beth Hendel. And at first I was shocked. I didn't know Gary Vee had a life coach, and so I was very excited to talk to her. And just like I've been explaining in this video, I went through her process. Like, how do you ask questions? What do you want to know about me? I don't want it to be, if this is a coaching session, just treat me as a client. Treat me as somebody who you're going to coach. What do you need to know from my story and how I act? And I'm gonna be as open, as honest as possible. And what it led to was a lot of the stuff she was saying was great, but my single biggest insight and takeaway was this, and I'm practicing this every single day now. The one takeaway that has honestly changed my life. Historically, I've been the person who believes in the plan. So what's my plan to get to the next step? Like, I want to go here, what's my plan? What's my plan? What's my plan? So I have the belief in the plan. And I wake up every day and I just do the plan because I believe in the plan. I'll have some days where I don't believe in the plan anymore. Like, will this plan help get me anywhere? Is this plan still working? And like, it's not working anymore. And that leads to some anxiety for me because I believe in the plan. And when the plan doesn't work, what happens? And so what I'll end up doing is making a new plan. So I have a plan. I believe in a plan until I don't believe in it anymore, causes anxiety, come up with a new plan. You following? So in creating a new plan, then I have certainty in the plan again and I'm fine and I'm rocking and rolling. But there are some days when I can't come up with a new plan. The plan I have, I don't believe in anymore, and I'm racking my brain to come up with a new plan and I can't come up with a new plan. If I'm the kind of person who believes in the plan and then I can't come up with a new plan, that's a really stress-inducing, anxiety-filled place to be. And it doesn't happen that often. But when it does, and I can't come up with a new plan, especially in the moment, well, what I would end up telling myself is, great things happen to me. You know what happened? Great things happen to you. And I would use it as a self-soothing mechanism, as a coping mechanism, because I didn't want to just stay locked in that stress, and it would be a downward spiral. Like, if I believe in the plan and the plan's not working and I can't come up with a new plan, then I don't know what to do with my life. And that would create a downward spiral. I've never gone anywhere close to depression or suicide, but that could lead to some dark places. And so the way that I come out of it is just say, great things will happen to me. Great things happen to me. They always happen to me. Great things happen to me, and I'll figure this out. And that gives me the comfort to move forward into the uncertainty, and then something will come that I will solve it. And what she said was, Gary Vee's life coach was, what you say to yourself when you need that self-soothing of great things happen to you needs to be your default state. So instead of believing in the plan as your default state and only going to great things happen to you when you are at the lowest of your low, flip it to the point where great things happen to you is the default, because that's where you're actually your best self. And I really felt that. I don't know how to do it, but even in questioning how do I do it, I just have to believe that great things happen to me. So a big part of my routine now is I don't know how many times I'll say that to myself, feel that, great things happen to me. I'm gonna put it as my new cell phone background. It's a constant reminder. Even making this video is another reinforcement of it. When people ask me what my goals are, there's been these exercises we've been doing in Genius Network here, and I just keep reminding myself, I don't know, I don't have a 10-year goal. Great things happen to me. It's a constant reminder, and I used to live it before this awareness. I don't know, like how many times would I feel really down and low and anxiety filled that I couldn't come up with a new plan? Maybe half of 1% of the time, like really small amounts. And now I'm probably living in great things happen to me maybe 5% of the time, 10% of the time, which is a huge jump from half of 1%, but it's still not my default mode yet. I'm still a believe in the plan guy. That's my ongoing challenge to myself. That's how I'm questioning. It's the willingness to question what you're doing. Because what you're doing right now has gotten you to where you're at. And if you're happy with where you're at, cool. But if you want more, you want to create more, you want to serve more, you want to bring more, you want to help more, you want more, you want to change, and you have to change. And the change starts with not just questioning everything out there, but question everything in here. Questioning what you believe to be true, questioning who you think you are, questioning for sure what you think you're capable of. Because when you can get to the root of that, amazing things can happen.
Rule number 9, be prepared.
So I love seeing how people do their daily routines. I love seeing how they start the day. I love seeing what their workout routines are, mindset routines are, because hopefully you can pick up one little tweak, one little hack, one little thing that you can try out on your own to be able to make your life a little bit better. I'm sitting here outside Genius Network. We've just been having some amazing meetings. I spent the past 2 days in a group where you pay $25,000 a year to be in, and the next 2 days we have to pay $100,000 a year to be in. And I'm grateful to be able to meet some amazing humans who built some amazing businesses. And so this video leads to a couple of thoughts for me. The first is, I think it's great to have a healthy balance of order and chaos. Most days you live in order. Most days you should have a morning routine. Most days you wake up and you do the thing you say you're going to do. Most days, whether it's working out or for your business, for your mindset, feeding information into you. I go on my believe walks every morning. Some of the things I do, right? Somebody asked me yesterday, how do you stay so positive? Well, I go on a believe walk every morning. I go outside, get some sun. It's nice here in Arizona. Let me show you. It's snowing right now. I'm filming this the end of April, and it's snowing in Toronto. But I'm here. Crazy sun, super grateful. We got palm trees in the back. I'm gonna get some of the sun out of my face. But I go for my believe walk pretty much every morning. And on a believe walk, what that is just help me set my mind for the day. What do I want to accomplish today? What am I doing today? I forget, I forget what my responsibilities are and why I'm doing it. Because no matter how great a day I had yesterday, today I wake up and feel like I'm starting over. And so having something in the morning that helps you remind yourself of the intention that you've got for today, I think is really valuable. It's really helpful. At least it is for me. Having music on, putting music on that makes you bounce, makes you go up, and makes you move. Because when you move, it transforms your mind as well. When your body's moving, your mind starts moving. When your body is slow and lazy and tired, then your mind is slow and lazy and tired as well. And then feeding my brain with knowledge, with inspiration, it's why I make all these videos, because I want to learn from Naveen Jain. I want to learn from Oprah Winfrey. I want to learn from Elon Musk. I want to learn from people who are thinking just way bigger than me. And so I think back to the idea of order versus chaos, most days you should wake up and be in order. Most days you should wake up and do your routine. Most days you should wake up and do what you said you were going to do, because these are the things that you know works for you. Every now and then, though, it's great to inject some chaos, because entrepreneurs, we love chaos. And it's great to challenge the order. And it's great to see, is this thing that I was doing, does it still serve me? Does it still work for me? Is it still something that I want to be doing? And so that's where going to an event, going to a conference, going to meet other people, right? So I'm hanging out with all these successful entrepreneurs here in Arizona, and it's great. And a lot of it is a reinforcement of what I'm already doing is working. And you hopefully pick up some nuggets. This is what, a 10-day trip, 11-day trip, something like that. On my first 2 days here, they gave us free breakfast at the hotel. And so my wife, Nina, was here with me. And we went for the breakfast the first 2 days. And I don't usually eat breakfast. I don't usually eat until at least 2 o'clock. So I'll eat between 2 and 6 o'clock every day. Sometimes I start at 2, sometimes I start at 6, or somewhere in between. I'm usually done by 8. And that's what I do on a daily basis. But since I was away, you know what, let's have some breakfast. And I wasn't like junking out on every sweet cereal and syrup all over the place, but I intently kind of went off my routine, still did my Believe walk, still did the music. And then after 2 days, like, you know what, if I keep doing this for the next 10 days, 11 days, I'm not gonna feel right, you know? And so I'm right now back on my routine. And the little bit of chaos every now and then I think is good. It helps you identify, is the things that I'm doing, is it working? Is it helping me? Do I want to keep doing it or not? What is serving me ongoing? And so sometimes you need to get out of your environment to get that shift. So going to an event, going to a conference, meeting other people, being around more ambitious or equally ambitious people as you can help you come back with some new ideas. Even if you go on vacation, like you ever go on a vacation, you come back, you're like, I want to do this, and this. You feel rejuvenated, you feel energetic, you feel alive, you feel ready to go off and just make some big change, right? Because you change your environment, and so that will force some chaos into you that can hopefully lead to some positive results. So I think most days you should live in the order. You know, here's my routine, and I think it works, and I'm sticking to it. And then every now and then you need to inject a little bit of chaos into it. And hopefully in that chaos, it's something positive that you're injecting into yourself that makes you pause, makes you reflect, and makes you see, is this order that I set up for myself still lead me to the life that I want? One of the things that I have taken away from the past 2 days of hanging with the 25K a year members is the importance of tracking. And right now what I've done then is started tracking what time I eat every day, and how many push-ups, jumping jacks, and squats that I'm doing every day. And one of the speakers was talking about, in general, as entrepreneurs, what we're always trying to do is go for new highs. What's our new high? Break a new record, right? Go for new highs. Where a great way to think about it is, instead of always trying to break new highs, because that's almost impossible to do, just work on your bad days. Work on raising the lows. So if you're thinking about a health goal, for example, and you want to hit a certain weight, well, you're the average of what you've done for the past year, right? If you eat like crap half the time and eat super healthy half the time, you're going to get a certain weight outcome. If you eat or fast some days, but then eat super junky other days, you'll get a certain weight outcome. So you're the average of all your highs and lows. And we tend to focus only on the highs, and we don't focus enough on the lows. Where if you can just, instead of always focusing on getting better highs, just lowering the impact of the lows, then you can get a better average result, which is what your end result ends up being. And so you don't know until you track it. So if you're on a health journey, there may be days you eat super clean, awesome, and you can eat cleaner on some days, great, but you'll probably get the best results by those days where you fall off the rails, where you cheat, where you make yourself not so proud. Where if I'm having breakfast at the buffet at the hotel, on the bad days, you don't let it go too bad. There's a concept of bumpers, like in a bowling alley, you have bumpers down the side. And so you don't let it get too bad. And so if you cheat or you eat, then you're not having all like pounds of syrup and everything else, that you minimize the impact. Or if you're gonna work out, or you're gonna make your calls, you're gonna make some videos, that whatever your worst days are, just making them not as bad. And track. So by tracking, you can see how well you're doing. And so I started tracking what time I ate. So yesterday was the first day, so I ate at 6:15. I didn't eat anything all day, ate at 6:15 at night, and ended up doing, 50 push-ups, 100 squats, and 200 jumping jacks, something like that. And then today I'll start tracking again. And it gives you a baseline for where you're at. And so that's a new thing that I'm gonna try. And right now my plan is track those metrics, what time I ate, how many push-ups, jumping jacks, and squats that I do every day. Those 4 things that I'm measuring, and track that every day just on a piece of paper. And then on the weekend, transfer that into a Google Sheet. And so I have historic data. Now, here's the thing, it's an idea. Right now, I'm super excited about the idea. I'm away from my environment, I've injected chaos into it, and I got inspired to do this. So immediate action, I'm doing it, right? You don't have to wait to go home to buy a Fitbit, to buy a fancy tracker to XYZ, right? This is what we tend to do. You get inspired by something, and then you go off and you plan and plan and plan, and when I get home, or next week, or next month, or on my birthday, or New Year, I'm gonna do it. I said, just do it, just get started. Just immediate imperfect action is always the answer. And I'm excited by it right now. And it might make a huge difference to me. It might be a big game changer. It might be all I talk about, to give you advice for the next 10 years of my life. Or maybe it fizzles out, or maybe I try it for 3 days and I leave here in a couple days and then that's it and I don't do it again. It's still worth the experiment, and that's what chaos brings. The chaos brings new ideas, and the newness is not productive. The newness is creative, but the newness is gonna fail a lot. The newness is not gonna be efficient. Again, it won't be productive, and we judge ourselves that every new idea has to be the perfect idea. It's the exact opposite. Like new ideas, most of them will fail. And it's not that it's a bad idea, it just may not be the right idea for you at this moment in your life right now. And so I'm trying it. But in general, back to the idea of order and chaos, I think most days you should wake up and have a schedule. I think most days you should wake up and do the thing, at least talking to myself, Evan Carmichael. Evan, most days you should wake up and have a schedule. Most days you should wake up and do the thing that you said you were gonna do and have your routine and stick to it, because that has consistently gotten you results. And if you keep doing that, you'll keep getting more results. And every now and then, you need to inject a little bit of chaos into it. You need to be around other people who are doing big things. You need to question the order and question the structure and ask yourself, does this structure right now still serve me? And is there a better way? And it's in that combination that I think you ultimately find your happiness, your success, your purpose, and you get the life that you want.
Rule number 10, the last one before our very special bonus clip: embrace and release fear.
My biggest fear is disappointing people. My biggest fear is that people will watch one of my videos, will buy my book, will come to one of my seminars or speeches or whatever and feel like, well, that was a giant waste of time. I don't know ultimately where it comes from, but that's my biggest fear, and it's honestly made me play small my whole life. And the trick that I found is that I just need to, when I can recognize it, I can do something about it. I think most of the time we play small by default. Most of the time we find a reason why we can't do something, and we justify the reason, we believe the reason. So for example, if I'm afraid to make videos, in the beginning I was very afraid to make videos, and I wouldn't make a video until my friend would come and film it and it looked professional. I had to have the perfect script, and if you go back and watch my first video, I did it on Walt Disney's Story, and it was filmed professionally by my friend Mark Drager, shout out to you. And I had the perfect script, and I was trying to memorize it, and I couldn't memorize enough, and so I was mostly voiceover, where I read a script and I memorized a few lines, and then we did B-roll over my talking points, because I was so concerned that if I said the wrong thing, then people might be disappointed. That's taken a lot of unwinding to do. I used to, with interviews, I used to want to know what the questions were going to be in advance, because I felt like I want to be able to give good answers. I didn't want to disappoint the audience of whoever, if I'm being interviewed on somebody's show, I want them to have a great show. I don't want to be a terrible guest. I want them to feel like this was really valuable, and that I shared my best information and knowledge and gave great value to their audience. And so I always wanted to know, what questions do you want to have Evan answer, or have me answer? That ended up being mistake, because when I knew the questions, I could give good information, but it was almost robotic because the answers were rehearsed. Where what I've learned is it's much more about the emotion than it is about the exact words. People remember how you make them feel. Maya Angelou, right? People will remember how you make them feel. And if everything is memorized and perfect and scripted, then the feeling isn't there because you're so worried about memorizing and saying the exact right word that then there's no emotion there. And if there's no emotion in what you're saying and what you're creating, what you're producing, then it's not going to move anybody to any kind of action. And that took a lot of unwinding to do, to be honest. And it led me to the point where whenever I can catch it, it's like, how do you get through it? Whenever you can catch it, to take the action that would make you proud. So this is, a decade plus of me unwinding this and taking slow progress and action. And hopefully you can get there a lot faster by even just recognizing that as a problem and watching videos like this. But I did a couple things. So anytime you can catch it, you take the action to make you proud. So why do I want to have all the questions in advance of an interview? Well, the logical story in my head is because I want to give a lot of value to the audience. Underneath that is the fear that I'm going to disappoint them. Oh, it's showing up again. Okay. So now I have to take corrective action, which is I don't want to have any questions in advance, which freaked me out, right? Like, but what if X happens? It freaked me out. Because it freaked me out, I had to go off and do it. You start to teach yourself, are you the kind of person who does the things that freak you out or not? I don't think I had any total train wrecks or total disasters, but I ended up making everything so much stronger, so much better, and so much more fun too, that I could just be myself and show up and answer questions and have a much better time with the host than otherwise, than me being stressed out about getting the right answers done all the time. On the flip side, for doing interviews, I would always stress out too about disappointing the guest and disappointing the audience and feeling like I would stress out. I think about having Tony Robbins on the channel or Matthew McConaughey on the channel or all these people that I've interviewed on the channel. Honestly, at the beginning, maybe a week leading up to it, I'd be stressed out. Researching, memorizing, asking myself what questions I want to ask, running the story over and over and over and over and over and over again in my mind, in my head. Just a wreck. I was a total wreck. It's all I could focus on because I was so stressed out about doing a good interview and getting their story out and giving value to them and to you guys, and not, the fear underneath that is disappointing. I didn't want to disappoint Tony, and I didn't want to disappoint you guys in the audience. And the breaking of that came down to, it's going to be a lot better if it's more natural. It doesn't mean I stopped doing research, but my solution has been, I find an angle that I want to pull on. I find a thread that I want to pull on. And once I find that thread, I stop stressing and worrying about the interview. So yesterday I had Alex Hermosi on my channel, and we did an Instagram Live. And I don't know Alex super well. We've connected a little bit on DMs on Instagram, but I've never done a interview, haven't met him yet in person, at least at the time of this recording. And I watched some of his videos and I looked at his story and I found the angle that I wanted to go down. I found the thread I wanted to pull on. And once I did that, I stopped researching the story. And now I can get to, within a couple hours of researching somebody, knowing what I want to talk to them about and where we can find our conversation will be different than others. And I still stress out before an interview, before I'm interviewing somebody, but it's now maybe an hour, it's 45 minutes or an hour of stressing out as opposed to a week. I've played small my whole life based off of this fear of disappointing other people. Who's going to see me fail and are they going to feel like they wasted their time or money? And as a result, it's led to a much smaller life and lower impact than what I'm capable of doing. And similar for you, you've got fears and insecurities and doubts and worried about judgment or losing love or whatever it is, and it's keeping you small. And the point of that is not to beat yourself up. It's not to beat myself up and say, oh, wow, I suck now because I'm not doing it. It's to realize, hey, I've still got a long life ahead. You've still got so many years ahead of you to live the life that you want and to have a big impact and to build the business that you want to build. You can still do all of that. And recognizing what your biggest fear is will allow you to tackle it, will allow you to stop listening to the reasons, right? Reasons in your head as to why you can't do something, but underneath that is just fear. You're not going to believe a stupid reason, right? You're a smart person, so you're going to believe really smart reasons. So our brain comes up with really smart reasons why we can't do something, right? Oh, I can't make YouTube videos because I don't have the right gear and the right camera and the right phone and the right microphone and the right speech, and what's my topic going to be and what's the thumbnail going to be, and I don't know editing yet, and I don't know what to call it, and I don't know the description, and do tags still work? And you spend all this time researching and overanalyzing and overstressing because you want it to be perfect. And you've trained yourself that these are all really valid reasons until you believe it. But underneath all of that is really just fear. Your fear of it not working. You're afraid of that it will work and who will see it. You're afraid that it won't work and people won't see it. You're afraid of being judged. You're afraid of looking a certain way. It's just fear. It's just fear. The reason why you're not doing the thing that you want to do, you have goals, you have an ambition, you have a mission, you have a vision for what you want to create. And the reason why you're not doing it is because you're afraid. You're afraid of something. And we've convinced ourselves with logical reasons why you can't do it, but really you're just afraid. Underneath all of that is just fear. And if you can tackle the fear, all of a sudden the logical reasons go away. Because underneath it was just fear. You could start your YouTube video. You could. I'm sitting here in my car on my phone while Nina's in Costco. Look. Can we see? Nina's in Costco. I'm sitting in the parking lot making this video. You know, it's just fear. And so when you can catch what the thing is that you're afraid of, that fear, I don't think that it goes away. It just shows up in bigger versions of it. So I'm still afraid of disappointing people, but it's just now on a bigger scale. The things that, doing an interview, I'm not as afraid of anymore. Interviewing others, I'm not as afraid of anymore. Even this, like filming in public, I used to be terrified of doing this. I'm filming in public. Like people, I'm not gonna show you because they're looking at me. People are packing up their cars and unloading their groceries, and I would always judge and worry, like, oh, if I'm gonna do something outside, it should be like way at the back of the parking lot, because what if people walk past me and they're judging me and they're looking at me? I could never have done this, however many years ago, and now we're here. So once you conquer that fear, it allows you to keep doing that same thing, but the same fear shows up on a bigger scale. So I'm not as afraid to do an interview, but I'm afraid to do an interview on a bigger show, or I'm afraid to go off and speak on a giant stage. And the trick is to catch the fear, not believe the excuse or the reasons why we can't do that thing, and teach yourself that you become the person who does the things that are scary. Your entire great life is on the other side of your fears. Everything that you want in a life and the impact you want to have and the business you want to build, the money you want to make is on the other side of you taking on those fears. Because you've got the heart, you've got the passion, you've got the soul, you've got the desire to serve, you've got it all. You're just afraid. And that's normal. And that's okay. The trick is to not succumb to the fears, to rise up to them, to meet them head on, and go build the life that you want. Practice gives you ultimate freedom. The more you practice, the better you get at something, the more skilled you are at it, the more information you have, the more it actually allows you to play more, have more fun, be more flexible, and have ultimately more freedom. This is something I struggled with a lot in the early days of my speaking career. I was asked to speak at a bunch of events, and this is 20 years ago, I guess. I've had as a speaking career now, and I used to be so worried about disappointing people that I would memorize my entire speech. I would practice and practice and practice and practice and practice and just memorize my speech to the point where, word for word, it would be the exact same thing every time. And I thought that was good. I thought that's what you're supposed to do. Obviously, yes, practice makes perfect. Keep going, keep practicing, keep doing it. And what ended up happening was, yes, I delivered the same speech each time, but I think the worst thing you can do as a speaker is just give the exact same speech every time. we did a session of movement makers around signature talk. It was one of the most voted topics, was how do I give my signature talk? And I think having one signature talk is actually not great. I think you should be able to speak to the audience every time. Your job, if you're a speaker, is to give your audience a fantastic experience. And so it's knowing who's in the audience. Don't assume it's the same people every single time, right? So you have to be able to know so much about your subject that then you can have your framework that you operate in, but then give a lot more value to people by making it custom to them. So now whenever I'm doing a speaking gig, I'm always asking, okay, tell me about the audience. Tell me who's here. Tell me why people are signing up. What are people here for? Both in terms of the information they're hoping to get, as well as their background and their interests and their concerns and what they struggle with. And of course, there's genuine human struggles that everybody goes through, but why are people here at this conference? And so here's my process right now when I'm doing a speech or talk. They're going to have me come in, they're going to talk about Believe or entrepreneurship or YouTube. There's going to be some set themes. You're not having me come to talk about my apple strudel recipe because I don't have one, right? I'm coming in to talk about things that are inside my domain. Perfect. And I could easily just get up on stage and talk, but I want to know who's in the audience. So before going, I'll ask them, tell me about the people who are going to be here. And then I'll frame my speech around a couple of key ideas that I think would be valuable to that audience, still sitting within kind of my usual domain. Perfect. I'll practice it. I'll practice giving a speech. I'll practice the points. At home, I'll practice talking to my dog. I'll practice on the airplane on the way over. I'll practice to kind of get a sense of the stories that I want to tell that I think will be the right fit. But then the day before and the day of, I like to be there a little early to talk to people, one makes me feel a little more comfortable, be able to connect to people in the audience. So it's not just people I don't know, but I've had a few conversations with people. But two, in feeling the vibe out of the event, I'll often end up switching up part of my talk, again, to make it as customizable as possible to the people that I'm talking to. And this isn't just a speaking thing, guys. This is any interaction you're doing. You're trying to sell your product, trying to sell your service. You're on a call with somebody who could use your product or service, hire you as a coach, etc. You have to customize your pitch, customize your talk for them. Not just give the same thing every single time you're talking to somebody. You have to know what makes them tick, know why they're talking to you, what their deep desires and fears are, and address those things so that you can close the sale, right? It's the same thing. I'm just giving an example through speaking. So it's being willing to deviate from your talk to actually give more value. And I think, again, the worst thing you can do as a speaker is just get on stage and give the same talk every single time. That's what I used to think was the way to go, but this is actually a lot more valuable because you can inspire people, but one, it becomes boring for you to get up and just do the same thing over and over and over again. And two, if you can customize it to actually address the thing that they're specifically concerned about, you're going to have a bigger impact. Why are you there? You're there to touch people. You're there to move people to a positive direction, right? Again, whether you're speaking or you're just talking to somebody on the phone, a potential client, why are you working with them? Yes, they're going to pay you, but why? You want them to get a result. You want them to move. You want them to make a change. You want to solve a problem for them. And so the more you can actually connect to what they're struggling with, the easier it is for you to close the sale and have the impact that you're trying to have. So it's a lot more fun. It's a lot more impactful, a lot more meaningful. And so that's my usual process now. Why are people here? I'll prepare a version of my speech to address those people. And then it always changes up the day of because I met somebody in the lobby who inspired me, or I met somebody on the airplane the day before who shifted my thinking a little bit and gives me an extra story to tell. And when you're so prepared and you know your stuff so much, it's easy to add those things in. When you don't really know, you're kind of all over the place. So it's being overly prepared and then the day of being willing to be flexible. It's that like rigidity of practice and practice and practice and knowing what you're doing so much that allows you to play when you show up. It's if you go into sports, you practice your free throws so much, you practice your penalty shots so much, you practice so much that allows you to be a lot more flexible and play when it comes to game time. Let me share another quick example from the opposite side where I was interviewing somebody. So instead of being the person on stage speaking, I'm interviewing somebody. And I recently had Tony Robbins on the channel. And it was the third time he came on the channel. The first 2 interviews we did had 3 million views on them combined, which is amazing. And he's coming back for the third time, talk about his new book. And I'm always nervous before a big interview. And this is probably the least nervous I've been because it's the third time on, but I was still nervous going in. And so I'm preparing. I'm trying to find a thread that I care about. I don't want to just ask the same questions everybody else has asked. I don't want to just use the questions that his PR agency sent over because he's going to answer those questions on every other show. I want it to be different and unique and fun and special. And so I prepared. I know I've got half an hour with him. I know he likes to go long in his stories, so you don't get that many questions in. So I need to really be careful of what I'm going to say and make this time count. It'd be easy just to show up and ask, okay, why did you write this book? What does it mean to you? What do you hope people get from it? What was your favorite part about it? And then half an hour is done and you haven't really asked anything super meaningful. So I'm preparing. And I wrote down on a notepad file that I had open when I was talking to him, 5 questions that I wanted to ask. And I practiced how I would ask them. I practiced, what I was going to say. And then I practiced it so much that come game time, come show time, here we go. Tony's coming on. Let's do our one-on-one. I was able to actually be present and listen to what it was saying and play ball with him, right? To throw and catch with him instead of just going to the questions. When you haven't prepared and you're really insecure, you just go to the questions. You just go, okay, here's what I said. Okay, here, and just ask the questions. Where the best interviews are when you can throw and catch, right? Where they say something and you take that a little bit deeper as opposed to just moving on to the next question. Because I've watched a lot of interviews in the work that I do, and one of the things that I find most frustrating is the person says something amazing and you want them to, it's like, okay, ask a follow-up question. And instead of asking a follow-up question, they just go to the next question. Because the interviewer was never even listening to what the interviewee was saying. They're just so worried about getting the next question in that's all they're thinking about. And so like, okay, great. And then tell me about this next question without going deeper into the conversation. So I didn't want to be that kind of interviewer. Even I get it, because you're nervous. You're not fully prepared. You're worried about the questions. So one example with Tony, he was talking about a recent health scare that he had and that his career would be over. The doctor said, your career is over. And in my head, I was thinking about some of the other stuff I knew about Tony Robbins. And so I asked him,
how many times have you been told that your career is over?
It was off script, right? It wasn't something his team prepared. It wasn't something Tony's maybe been asked. And I asked him, how many times have you been told that your career has been over? Because I remember, he had this tumor that made him grow crazy quickly. And people said his life would be over. I remember he burned out his voice box and his doctors told him he'd never speak on stage again. And now this injury that happened to him, he wasn't going to be able to go and do his event. So he's been told consistently that his career would be over. And yet he still gets up and he finds a way and he does it, right? And one of the things that we love about his ability to follow through and stay consistent. And so in the over preparation and knowing his story, and also knowing that I had questions to fall back on in case there was a lull in the conversation, it allows the play. It allows the freedom. It allows you to adjust to the situation, which then creates a much better experience. So whether you're speaking, whether you're interviewing, whether you're coaching, whether you're mentoring, whether you're on a sales call, you need to know your script. You need to know what you're going to say. You need to understand your customer and who you're talking to. You need to know all that and over prepare. But then understand that the greatest asset that you have is not in rehearsing again the script. It's that you have the ability to be free now, that you can play because you've done all the drills and now you need to have the back and forth. It's throwing and catching. I'm going to throw the ball to you. You're going to catch it. You're going to throw the ball back to me. It's not just throwing, where a lot of times the biggest mistake is that you're just throwing. You're just throwing another one and another one. And here's my other line. Here's my next question. Here's my next pitch. Throw. And the person might be saying, but there's no receiving and them throwing the ball back to you. That's the best part in any interaction. If you have a goal to get them to move forward, to make a change in their life, to sign you up, to hire you, to work with you so that you can make that impact that you're trying to make, there has to be that back and forth. And the more prepared you are, the easier it is to then have the freedom to play.
Embrace the and. Most people are thinking or. Most people are thinking, do I do this or do I do this? Do I do this business or do this business? If you think about your passions and your interests, right? What do you love doing? What's your heart-centered thing that you could do all day? You probably have a couple things and you feel like you have to pick. This is the mistake. People feel like you have to pick. You don't have to pick. The actual selection is in doing both of those things combined. A lot of people have said some amazing things of me. It's very humbling. I think of Ed Milet and Gary Vee, where Gary Vee called me the DJ that likes to watch so much content and then spin it to inspire people. And Ed Milet said that I'm the modern day Napoleon Hill. Napoleon Hill is the biggest influence of all time in personal development, and I'm the modern day Napoleon Hill. First off, that's extremely humbling, but why are they saying that? This is how I'm unique. Because I love consuming all of this stuff and I love spinning it and mixing it up as well as adding my own message to things. This is how I'm different. There's a lot of people who are just sharing their message, and there's a lot of people who are also mixing things together. But there's nobody who's really mixing things together and sharing their own message, right? So instead of looking at those two things as different, right? Like I have to pick, I got to pick this or this. Like I'm going to combine them, and that's how I'm going to be unique. So think about your different interests. What do you love doing? What are your top 2-3 things that you can get lost in, and they feel completely different? Your genius is going to be in actually mixing those things together in a way that's never been done before, and then using that to bring value to people. Stop thinking or, and instead embrace the and. You have Michael Jordan level talent at something, but instead of being world class at that thing, you settled for being just above average at something that you should not be doing. Albert Einstein once said, everybody is a genius, but if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, it will believe its whole life that it is stupid. That's most people's problems. You are a fish, and you're trying to climb a tree instead of going and being great at swimming. This is the exact problem that I am on a mission to solve. So I recently had a young entrepreneur come to one of my Toronto Q&A meetups that are free that I host every week. And he said, Evan, I have a problem. I'm trying to decide between what my parents want me to be, which is an architect, and what I feel a yearning towards, which is being a musician. And I don't know what to do. I don't know how to decide. I don't know how I'm going to be a success as a musician. I don't know how it's going to work out. And my parents want me to be an architect, and there's this clearly defined path for how to do it. And he's afraid. And I think that's so many people. There's this safe, perfect path that has been designed that people have done forever and ever and ever and ever and ever. Or there's this new, crazy, messy, unrealistic, unsafe, unsure path, which is following your passion, being an entrepreneur, and trying to figure out where you're supposed to go. Here's the thing. If you only go down that safe path, if you only take that job, if you only listen to your parents or other people and you do what they want you to do, you're always going to be unhappy. You're always going to know that there was this thing inside you that you could have done, that you didn't take action on, and you hate it. It's never been easier to actually be yourself and build a business and have success being uniquely you. Right? This was not open to your parents and definitely not your grandparents. The ability to be an entrepreneur on the side, making money using your phone, is something that your grandparents don't understand. It's totally wild. And so you are a unique individual, right? You are, I am, we all are. You have unique interests, personality traits, belief systems. You're unique. You need to do something unique. If you are unique, you need to do something unique. If you're stuck doing the same thing that somebody else wants you to do, you're never going to be happy. Now, there may be some alignment. You may not absolutely hate the job that you're at, but you know you're capable of more. You're Michael Jordan. You are the Michael Jordan of something. You're a genius, an absolute bona fide genius at something. This is why I think it's the world's greatest problem. This is why I do what I do every single day in making this content and videos for you, because I want to unlock people, hopefully more than one at a time, but even if it's just one person who watches this video and gets unlocked, I'm pumped. Because I think if everybody is off doing the thing that they are a genius at, man, I want to live in that world. How you think about the problem is the problem. Most people are locked into losing thinking, finding all the reasons why you won't win. If you're the ant, think about how you can kill the elephant. If you're the elephant, think about how you can kill the ant. The problem is not the problem. How you think about the problem is the problem. So I used to think that introverts couldn't win. I used to think that to be a good speaker, to have a YouTube channel, to be an entrepreneur, that introverts can't win. And for the longest time, I hid behind the faces on my website. So before even starting YouTube, I started on my website. It was called evancarmichael.com. I didn't have a better name at the time. And I profiled different successful entrepreneurs. Basically what I do on YouTube, but on my website, because I wanted to share the stories. Modeling success saved my business, and I wanted to make it easier for other people to be able to get success on their own as well. So learn who's done it, apply those strategies, make it work for you, and let's go. And so I always hid behind the faces. I remember my first banner, I had Howard Hughes, a big Howard Hughes, Oprah Winfrey, and a couple other people. And people kept asking me, well, where's Evan Carmichael? You know, the website's off your name, you're putting this together, what's your story? And I thought, well, who cares about my story? I mean, sure, I built and sold my first business, but it's nothing compared to Howard Hughes and Oprah Winfrey, these people who've done great things. And it kept coming up over and over and over again. Translate that to my YouTube channel, Evan Carmichael was still the #1 requested top 10. And when I first started doing top 10s, we did Kanye West, shout out to Kanye there on the wall, and then a bunch of other people kept asking for mine. I'm like, well, what do you want mine? You mean, again, what have I done compared to Kanye West? And I always hid behind the fact that I was an introvert. And so I don't want to share my story, nobody's interested, I'm shy, I'm the wallflower, I don't go off and try to make myself the center of attention, I don't like, hanging out with people. And so I had this story that introverts can't win. It wasn't until I reframed it and thought, you know what, introverts can win in communications because we're better listeners. I'm a great listener. As much as you might think I love talking and making these videos and seeing the speeches that I do, what I love doing more than that is listening. And I think that's how you win as an introvert, because it's not about you just sharing, talk, look at me. You're trying to help. And I've met some amazing introverts who are on a huge mission and want to have a big impact and have to fight with themselves to get out of their comfort zone and have the spotlight on them instead of just being behind the scenes. But they're all great listeners. They become great communicators because they're great listeners. And so the problem wasn't that I'm an introvert. The problem is how I thought about the problem of being an introvert.
Take some kind of immediate action. Most people's immediate action is research. Most people's immediate action is planning. That's not enough. Immediate action is doing. You have to do something. And you don't know where to start. This is the next thing. I don't know where to start. I want to start a YouTube channel. I don't know where to start. You start by pulling out your phone and making a video. I'm in my car, on my phone, making a video. You can too. It's not worrying about it being perfect. It's expecting to suck and just start. Just create. I call it the 2% difference. It's like, what's the first 2% on your idea? We plan to get to 100% instead of just going and doing something on the first 2%. Whatever that big idea is, start to teach yourself that your ideas are amazing, that the ideas that flow to you are good. They're good for you, they're good for your family, they're good for your community, they're good for the world, they're good. And you have a duty to start doing something towards them. Start to train yourself on this. Recently, I wanted to learn about NFTs and cryptocurrency, and I've dabbled and learned a little bit, but I just decided I'm gonna figure this out. And last week on Friday, I spent the day learning it, and I had all sorts of obstacles thrown in my way. I couldn't get money out of my bank account because my bank blocked cryptocurrency purchases. My Visa blocked cryptocurrency purchases. There's a whole bunch of restrictions as a Canadian to buy from the different exchanges. All sorts of problems, and you know what? Like one problem after another, my US bank account. Like, well, I've got a US account with TD, so I'm gonna go to my US account, no problem. The TD was closed. The online banking had a update. Their website crashed. Like, oh my gosh, it's like nonstop. But we figured it out. Built some momentum. Started taking some kind of action. It makes a huge difference. Because while you're feeling the bold energy, if you wait till tomorrow, you won't feel the energy anymore. You can have the perfect plan, but tomorrow you won't have the same mindset, and so you won't execute the plan.
There is no work-life balance. There's just life. The fact that we are separating work from life, I think is a big problem. I think that's why most people hate their life. because we don't see work as a part of life. Your work is a part of life. Your work should fuel your life. Your work should give you purpose and meaning. We all want to wake up and feel like we matter, and we're going to do something today in our work that's going to create some kind of positive impact, right? On the days when you wake up and you feel like today is going to matter, I'm going to make something that is going to matter to another human being, maybe 1 million people, maybe one person, but today is going to matter. Those are the days that you love your life and you feel amazing and you feel like you're contributing and you feel like this is why I do what I do. And on the days when you feel like it doesn't matter, nobody cares if you show up, you're not making anything meaningful, there is no contribution, those are the days where you hate your life. There is no work-life balance, guys. It's just life. When I'm on podcasts and people ask me this question, like, what does work-life balance mean to you? Or they ask me some variation of it, like, how many hours a day do you work? Or what does your work calendar look like? It's like, well, what's work to you is my usual response. Now, I'm sitting here on your show. I'm having a great time. We're doing this podcast together. Is this work for you? Like, does this count as work? Because I don't see this as work. This isn't work. This is fun. This is fun for me. This is my life. I like this. When I see this podcast in my calendar, I'm excited by it. I don't look at it as work. Making these videos, I don't see it as work. That's why I've been able to stay so consistent. Right? How do I not burn out? It's another question I get asked a lot. How do you not burn out? How do you make so many videos? How do you not burn out? A lot of people burn out nowhere even close to the number of videos that I've done over how many years? 13 years? A lot of years. Guys, it's been a lot of years of showing up and making over 10,000 videos. Crazy. How? Why? Well, because it doesn't feel like work. This is part of my life. This is what a purposeful life looks like. If I saw it as work, I would have quit and given up years ago. I mean, a decade plus ago. There are some pieces of what I do that feels like work. You know, doing accounting stuff feels like work. I hate that stuff. Doing administrative stuff, paperwork, legal stuff, that feels like work. I burn out very quickly. I want to spend the least amount of time as possible on that. I want to hire people, have a great lawyer, have a great accountant, have a great bookkeeper, have people help me with that stuff because I do not enjoy it. It feels like work. And if my calendar was just filled with that stuff, I would hate my life. So I don't believe in work-life balance. I reject the premise of the entire question. It's just life. How do you want to spend your life? And this is one of the greatest things that we have as entrepreneurs. You get to decide what your life is. You get to pick the business you go into. You don't have a boss besides the customers, but you still also get to pick which customers that you work with. And your work should be something that is a source of joy for you and a source of energy for you. Because when you love what you're doing every day, it will bring you a lot more happiness and satisfaction in your life. So it's all just life. One of the great things I think that you can do is look at your calendar, see what's coming up in the next couple weeks, couple months, and are you excited by the things that are in your calendar? And I put everything in my calendar. I love living by my calendar. I don't know if it's because I don't remember what I'm doing, tomorrow, or I'm so present focused that I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing tomorrow. So I have it in my calendar. And I think it also reduces anxiety for me to know that I've got days for things. So making videos, I don't worry during the week about making videos because I know on Tuesday it's my video day and I'll get it all done. And if I get an idea for video, I'll email myself and I'll look at that on Tuesday. So it's in my calendar. So I have a spot for everything. So I'm not constantly worried. Before I had a calendar, I'd be worried and anxious about, when am I going to get this done? When do I have time to do this? And that would stress me out. Where now, okay, I know. I'm going to do that on Tuesday. When am I going to have time to mentor my team? Okay, I'm going to have Monday. When am I going to have time to have, to clean up the condo and do grocery shopping, whatever? Okay, that's Sunday. Right, so it's all in the calendar. So at least for me, having a calendar has been life-changing. But what ends up happening is we don't put everything in our calendar. We just put our meetings in our calendar. where I put everything. I put time with Nina on my calendar, time with my son on my calendar, time playing League of Legends and Minecraft is in my calendar. It's in my calendar. So I have time to get everything I want out of life done. You have time. This reason of, oh, I don't have time. You have time. Like if I was to step into your life and see what you were doing every day, there's a lot of wasted time. It's a lot of unintentional time. So the whole idea of having a calendar is to be more intentional. Be more intentional with how you're spending your time. And if you do that, then you can look at your week ahead, your month ahead, and are you excited? This is all life, right? Forget work-life balance, it's all life. So you look at your life, what's in your calendar. Are you excited by the things that are in there? Are you excited by the projects you're working on? Are you excited by the people you're going to be connecting with? Are you excited by the amount of time you're spending just to yourself? Whether that's meditation or yoga or working out or swimming or walking or whatever. Are you spending enough time just for you? Are you excited about the life that is in your calendar? And if not, then change it. What are we doing here? This is why you became an entrepreneur. If you want to live somebody else's version of your life, go get a job where you're told what to do, you're told when to show up, you're told what you have to work on. That's a job. That's why most people hate their lives, because they're being told what to do constantly all the time. They have no freedom. If you want to be an entrepreneur and have ultimate freedom, then let's take control of our calendar, because we're not. Most entrepreneurs that I meet feel out of control, are wasting a ton of time, feel like they're not spending their time being intentional, know they're capable of so much more, know they can be a lot more efficient, a lot more productive, a lot more purposeful with how they're spending their time. So if there's nothing in your calendar that's exciting you, then you do not like your life, because your calendar is a reflection of how you're spending your life. So change it. Now, maybe that's a drastic change, or maybe that's a minor change. And this is an ongoing evolution. Whenever I feel unhappy, not like depressed, because that doesn't really happen, but when I'm feeling like the energy's off, probably a better way to put it. Whenever I feel like the energy is off, for one day, not the end of the world, right? For one day, just go do the thing that's in your calendar because you said you were going to do it, right? But if that's happening for a couple days in a row, or if it's happening for Tuesdays, is my filming day, for example, if I had 2 or 3 Tuesdays in a row where I feel the energy is really off and I'm not enjoying making videos, then I need to pivot. And it's either I need to make different kinds of videos, or I need to just stop making videos. That may happen. I'm willing to drop things if it doesn't bring me joy anymore. And we, as humans, stay in things for far too long. Like, there are things that you're holding on to that you should have dropped maybe years ago, and you're still doing it. Why? Because it's a habit, a routine, or it's sunk costs. Like, you had this goal 5 years ago that doesn't even matter to you anymore, but you built your self-identity around it. Be willing to let go of things sooner, because you'll never win doing work that you hate. And so there may come a day where I just drop my YouTube channel, all of them, because it doesn't fill me with joy anymore. Now, I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon, because I still love doing this stuff.
Most people have not taken control of their schedules. You wake up like an accident, start responding to other people's emergencies, and help other people build their dreams instead of you building yours. It's time for a change. You deserve better, and this video is going to show you how. I think one of the biggest reasons why so many entrepreneurs don't take enough action is because when you get motivated, you don't do enough. You feel the motivation, you feel the boldness, you feel the confidence, but you're not taking enough action, you're not doing enough. I remember going to my first Tony Robbins event. This is before I knew Tony one-on-one, before I did the interview with him on my channel. I just went to see what would the event be like. I've seen so many different videos of so many different people, and I felt like, you know what? For most people going to their event, it'd probably be the same as just watching on YouTube. But for Tony, I felt, you know what? I think his event might be different. There's something that tells me by going to his event, it'll be different than what I just see on YouTube through the content. And so I went with my wife, I went with 3 people on my team, I paid for everyone to go out, and went to our first Tony Robbins event.
And at the end of the last day, if you've never been to a Tony Robbins event, it's on fire, you're motivated, you're jumping, you're dancing, you're hugging, you're high-fiving, you're breaking through limits. It's amazing. And by the end of the last day, you see everybody in the streets, you're pouring out, everybody's all pumped up and energized, like, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that. I remember one of the people that I brought with me, he's like, yeah, I'm gonna do all this stuff. And he's like yelling and so fired up and excited. He's like, well, what are you doing, Evan? I'm like, I'm looking at my calendar. Because this is why so many people fall off. You go to an event like that and then you fall off because you're not making it consistent. Success is habits. So whenever you decide to make a change, you have to, at least for me, I look immediately to my calendar. So if my goal is now I want to be a big YouTuber, great. When am I going to make videos? It's got to be in the calendar. If it's not in the calendar, it's never going to happen. And so anytime you want to make a meaningful change, you have to default to thinking, what am I gonna put into my calendar? Because success is habits. And so it's great to be motivated. Maybe these videos do it for you. Maybe events, maybe books, podcasts, awesome. You're getting it from somewhere. You feel motivated, great. Show me in your calendar where you are spending the time to actually make the thing happen. Otherwise, you're just living off some fumes. You know, you get motivated for a day or two, feels amazing, and then you fall back down to normal. If you want that dream life, you want that next step for yourself, it's gotta come from changing your habits, changing what's in your calendar to make sure that what you say you want out of life, you're actually working towards making that happen.
Hope without action leads to pain and suffering. Watching videos like this is not enough. It might give you hope, but hope that is not tied to action and you doing something will mean you never accomplish your goals. The answer is always action. It's hope and then action. And when that doesn't work out, more action. And when that doesn't work out, more action. So a couple years ago, I was in New York and I was meeting with my agents, and one of them said, what am I trying to do? What's my vision? What's my mission? What am I trying to accomplish? And I said, I wanted to spread belief. I wanted to spread hope. And he jumped all over me about the hope. Like, you want to spread hope? Hope's not enough. You can't just do hope. And I remember walking away, he's like, what's he talking about? Hope is so important. If you don't have hope, how are you going to believe in yourself to go chase something down? Without hope, you got nothing, right? Without hope and belief, you got nothing. Where I realized the difference in the thinking is the usage of the word is people hope things will happen. It's not having hope in something, it's hoping that it's gonna happen, and then they sit on their bed, sit on their couch, sit at home and do nothing. That kind of hope, that's not a strategy. Hope and belief is your first step. It's your first entry point in. You have hope that things will happen. But then you gotta get up and do something, right? And so figuring out that message when I was talking to my agent didn't come to me right away in the moment, because at the same time, as much as I'm filled with hope and belief in humanity and what we can all do, I'm working, right? I'm taking action. I'm making 3 to 4 videos every day. We haven't had a day in the past 5 years where a video hasn't gone up. Every single day. I don't know what that consecutive streak is, but it's long, it's big. I'm working my face off every day in the achievement of my mission. But I also love hope and belief. It's why I have this channel, it's why I have my other channels, is I want to be around people who've done a lot more. I want to learn from the greats. I want to learn from people who know more than me. And when I see that, it gives me hope that it's possible. It gives me belief that it's possible, that if they can do it, I can do it too. But you still have to do it. The ability to do it versus actually executing and doing it are two very different things. Right? The difference gap is going to be the action. And so, yes, I want you to have hope. I think it's important, but it's not the only thing. You got to make sure you turn that hope and not just rely on a strategy, but you're doing the daily work to chase down your dreams.
Every time you say, I can't, you're teaching yourself that you suck. Because you've quit, because you've given up. It's not your fault that you can't do it. It's your work, or your school, or your family, or all the other commitments that you have, but not your fault. Nope. 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 Change your I can'ts to either I'm going to or I choose not to. That's how you take back control of your decisions and your life. So I recently listened to this Chinese song and I got obsessed with it. I was playing it all day long and I loved it. I don't know what they're saying. I don't know what the words mean. I loved it. I go to bed and lyrics start coming to me. Rap lyrics. In full sentences, right? The first one comes in, okay, wake up, I'm in bed, I'm lying in bed, I'm trying to sleep. You know, it's 11 o'clock, trying to sleep. Idea, rap lyric come, okay. I write it down. Again, rap lyrics come, write it down. more, write it down until 3 in the morning. I haven't slept yet. Ideas just keep coming for this song that's like, I need to make a rap. And then what comes into my head is that, what? You're gonna make a rap? It's easy to get locked into I can't mode. I can't do this. I can't start that. I can't do a rap. I didn't go to school for that. Not that you go to school for rap. You know, I didn't rap growing up. I don't have musical talent, right? That's not what people know me for. That's not what people expect from me. I can't rap. That's where most people quit. But instead, I decided I was gonna get up at 3 something in the morning, go to my computer, finish writing out my lyrics, and then I spent the day rapping. And that night, finished the video, sent it off to Christina, my editor, to put it together, and the next day we released my rap video. Now, maybe you love it, maybe you hate it, it's gotten some decent responses. It was tons of fun to put together, and most importantly, I taught myself in all of these things. These are all great micro moments to teach yourself that you're amazing. Whenever you say, I can't, and you do it, that's how you build self-confidence. That's the birthplace of self-confidence, self-love, self-respect, is taking something that you think that you can't do and just trying. Not even doing it full out, because I don't expect my rap to go off and win any kind of awards, right? But I tried it, I did it, I released it. Expect to suck at the beginning, that's okay, it's normal, it's part of the process. But in those moments of I can't, and then turning them into something that actually exists, is where your genius will come. I look at my top 10 series, and it's partly why I have Kanye on my wall, because the first video that I made was on Kanye. First top 10 was on Kanye. It was 5 years into my YouTube career. I did a response to my friend Mark Drager from Phantom Media, and I said initially, I can't do this. Like, I can't make a video now on this. I have all these other commitments. I have a full day ahead of other stuff that I'm supposed to do. And said, no, I did action. I'm just gonna do it. Forget it. I'm gonna make it. And I didn't expect it to do well. Luckily, it actually did. And then that became this whole thing of making, I don't know how many top 10s, hundreds, maybe 1,000. I don't know how many top 10. How many top 10s have I done? I have no idea. But it started off as just idea. Trust your ideas. Know that they're amazing. Stop saying I can't to yourself. This is where you need to take control of your head and your heart. You have to make decisions with your heart and then use your head to figure out how to do it. Anytime you're doing something new, super important. Anytime you're doing something new, I'm gonna make a rap, I'm gonna make a top 10 video, I'm gonna do anything outside my normal thing, right? Same for you. Anytime you're doing something new, it doesn't make sense because it's new. What is brand new doesn't make sense. You're creating something new. And so your head, your logical brain that's designed to keep you safe, doesn't understand it. Its job is to protect you and says, don't do that. You can't do that. Because one, it's never been done, and because we have all these reasons why it's not possible for you. Not just anybody else, for you. Like, you can't do it because you haven't done it before. That's what your head says. Your heart can create something new. Your heart creates art. Your heart makes up a world that hasn't existed before. And so at the very beginning of many projects, your head and your heart are against each other. Your heart's saying, I want to make this. Your head's saying, you can't make this. And so you end up staying stuck in limbo with all these ideas, never taking momentum because your head and your heart are fighting. You've got your foot on the gas and the brake at the same time, never moving, knowing that you're capable of more. And so you make the big decisions in your life with your heart, and then you rally your head to say, okay, we're doing this. I'm making the rap video. I'm making the top 10. You're gonna do your crazy idea. And then your head says, ooh, okay, they're serious. Let's figure out how not to die doing this, right? Let's figure out how to actually make it work. So you make the big decisions in life with the heart, and then you use your head to figure out how to go out and accomplish it.
Having an infinite mindset comes from you wanting people to win more than you want them to win with you. You want people to win around you, your friends, your family, your team, your customers, the people you interact with. You want them to win as people in their life, in their goals, whatever they want to accomplish. You want them to win more than you want them to win with you. If you can start to adopt that mindset, it really starts to shift how you see your relationships, how you see your business, how you see the people on your team. And it allows so much more positive energy to flow in the right direction for everybody to accomplish their goals. So, quick example. I made a bunch of videos on Tony Robbins. Tony Robbins is one of the first people that he was, I guess, the first big person who kind of recognized the work that I was doing. And he put the video I made on him on his homepage on YouTube and got a lot more views. And we made more videos on Tony Robbins. Tony then invites me to go to his event. We did a couple interviews together. He invites me to go and puts me in, the awesome seating right up front. And I got a lot of people coming up to say, hey, Evan, they recognize me. I'm also wearing a hoodie. Not that I'm a celebrity, but in that kind of world, people would recognize me. And they said, you introduced me to Tony Robbins. That they found out about Tony Robbins or Simon Sinek or Tom Bilyeu or whoever through the content that I'm putting up. And I had a few people who said, hey, I found out about Tony Robbins from you, and I haven't actually gone back and watched your videos in a while because I've been so deep in Tony Robbins land. And now I'm here at this event and paid thousands of dollars to be here learning from Tony. And I don't watch your channel anymore, but thank you for introducing me to Tony Robbins because that's what I watch now. I'm pumped. I'm excited. It's like, that's amazing. Thank you for telling me. Now, would I love for them to be with me forever? Yes, of course, absolutely. But I'm more happy that you're off winning. If you watch this video and you learn from Simon Sinek and you've never heard of him before, you have, and you want to dive deeper, and then you go and you buy all his books and you subscribe to him on YouTube and you dive deep into his world and you don't come back and watch another video of mine for another 12 months, I'm pumped for you. I want you to win as a human, as an entrepreneur, more than I want you to subscribe to my channel and keep watching videos here. It's just a fundamental shift in how you see relationships. I look at the people on my team. I want them all to win as people more than win with me. And I see everybody that I'm working with as a parallel path. You and I right now, you're watching this video, we're on a parallel path. This is a parallel path that we're marching on together. And then at the end of this video, you're gonna go off and go do something else, and hopefully productive and empowering and impactful. You're gonna have a great day. Come on, let's go, Believe Nation. But you're gonna go off and do something else. You're gonna step out the different Carmichael path and go do something else. And maybe you come back on the path, or maybe you go way off and you never come back. But right now, you're watching this video, we're on a parallel path, you and I together. I just want to maximize that time together. That while you're on a path with me, that you're going to become better. And that should be your goal with the people you're around, that we have these parallel paths that we're running together for a certain amount of time. And maybe that's 10 minutes in a conversation. Maybe that's a year of somebody working with you. Maybe that's 10 years. Maybe that's a life partner that's forever, right? But you're on these parallel paths. Your goal needs to be, while somebody's interacting with you in person, via email, through your content, they're with you, that they're a better person because of that interaction with you. If you can do that, if you can just change the way you see relationships to do that, to instead just think about yourself first and think about them first and helping them accomplish what they need to accomplish, even if it means leaving you. I've recommended people to courses and programs that are not my own. I've kicked people off of my team because I was going to hold them back. They wanted to stay here, but like, you need to go and do that thing. This is too safe and comfortable for you, and I can't give you the thing that you want. You have to leave and go do that thing and push them towards it.
What you believe about yourself is the only thing that matters. At the end of the day, no matter how much outside affirmations you get or other people telling you that you're amazing, if you don't believe in your heart that you are amazing, none of that will last. Like, have you ever gone to an event, or you ever made a video or created something, or you're hanging out with a friend and they tell you how amazing you are, and that feels good, right? Like the external affirmations and validation feels great, but then it fades. That stuff doesn't last. You don't have somebody being a cheerleader for you every day, showing up in your bedroom saying, hooray, go do this, you're amazing, right? We don't have that. You have to be that for yourself. If you're constantly only getting your value as a human being from other people when they tell you that you're amazing, you're never going to love your life. You're never going to love yourself. It has to come from you. It has to come from you telling yourself and you believing that you are amazing. Well, okay, so that's a lot of words. How do you actually go off and do it? So I think for me, this is why I believe that lack of belief is the world's #1 problem. You know, I can go and meet somebody and fill them full of belief for a moment, but if they still don't believe in themselves, and they're going home back to a life that they had before, because they don't believe in themselves enough. And so you have to design habits and routines and systems and schedules to slowly shift your belief in yourself forward every single day. And a good chunk of that is what you say about yourself. When you look at yourself in the mirror, what do you say? When you think about yourself, what do you say? A lot of the stuff that we say about ourselves, we wouldn't say to our worst enemies. It's rough. I actually think it's great to be your own worst critic. I think it's great. I think for a lot of people, we're not hard enough on ourselves. Let me stick with me for a minute. We're not hard enough on ourselves because in order to get to where you want to go, you actually need to push yourself more. The problem is why we can't do it is we don't love ourselves enough. We're not our biggest cheerleader enough. You have to balance those two things. We're very hard on ourselves, but because there's no self-love, we're not cheering ourselves on enough. We're not our biggest cheerleader. You can't handle it. Most people are already at the breaking point, like I'm sitting here in a parking lot, these, those, I guess it's kind of blurry. You can't really see them, but people hate their lives. They're barely hanging on. Most people are barely hanging on. We're barely hanging on to what we're doing. We can post all these great things on Instagram or wherever and make it look like we're enjoying our life, but most people are barely hanging on. The people who are judging you for your life and telling you that you suck hate their own lives. They are barely hanging on. So how do we get through it? Well, yes, we can be harder on ourselves, but we need to balance that with more self-love. You have to remind yourself of why you're great, what you're proud of, what you're grateful for. And it has to be consistent. Otherwise, you'll never get to where you want to go. And when you love yourself more, that actually allows you to be harder on yourself. When you love yourself more and you actually feel it, you can push yourself harder. You can be more demanding of yourself because it's not going to push you over the edge because you're not tying your self-worth to you accomplishing that thing. And when you don't accomplish it, you feel like a loser. It's starting from a place of I'm amazing that allows you to be way harder on yourself. When I go to events, a YouTube event, for example, if I'm talking about anything entrepreneurship or YouTube related, I'm going in thinking I'm kick-ass. And because I feel that, I don't need to say that. Like a lot of times we feel like we need to say that because it's masking an insecurity, right? It's like those people who, we've seen those memes where when people make a little bit of money, they've got all these chains and everything, but then the people who are ultra rich, who have all the money, you look even Jay-Z, like early Jay-Z, he's got all his chains and everything, and now he's like, doesn't care, he's just walking around in a t-shirt and some jeans because he doesn't need to front, because he's just so self-confident now that it doesn't matter. Now it's actually expression instead of masking an insecurity. Most of us are just masking insecurities instead of actually being self-confident. And so when I'm going to an event, if I'm talking about YouTube, I'm walking in feeling amazing, and I don't need to walk around and say, hey, look at me. And it's actually the opposite. I can go up and say, hey, where do I suck? It's my favorite question to ask. Why do I suck? Where do I suck? Can you point it out? If I can find one person to tell me where I suck at something, how my videos suck, my thumbnails suck, I don't believe that they suck, right? I think they're amazing. But because I think they're so amazing, it allows me to go a lot harder on myself. And so people will give their honest opinion and say, hey, here's how I think it could be better. And so I think we need to do that more in our lives. We need to cheer ourselves up more. We need to cheer ourselves on more. So how do we do it? Let me share some practical tips for you to execute. Number 1, music in the morning. Every morning, one of the most important things that I do is I put music on. And it's music that makes me move, makes me dance, there's some songs that if they came on, you would have to move, right? It doesn't mean that you're up and like dancing through the whole house, going crazy in your underwear first thing in the morning, but something that even if it's just making your head bob, there are songs that if they came on would make your head bob. And you'd probably be singing, maybe not out loud, but singing under your breath, humming a tune along. And be intentional with the lyrics. Because if we're singing out lyrics that are negative, that has a lasting impact. But if you're singing out lyrics that are positive, that also has a lasting impact. So be intentional with music that you put on every day. First, start your day with music. It's the fastest way to change your state, to go from feeling low and tired and just what day is it? What am I doing? I wake up every day like, what day is it? What am I doing today? Yeah, but I demand excellence, and that starts with music, because I don't want to spend a lot of time trying to get into the right state of mind. I can command it whenever I want just by putting on the right song. So be intentional with your music and the lyrics being positive. 2, connect to the work that you're doing and how meaningful it is. So the next thing I'll do is I'll take the dogs out, and then I'll go for what I call a believe walk. And this is probably the most important part of my morning routine, is I go for a believe walk. And it's a minimum of 20 minutes and it's a maximum of an hour. And I'll go for a walk by myself with 20 pounds on my back. I'll go rucking. I'll walk to Tim Hortons usually, get a coffee. This costs $2, $2 something. So if I only had, what's the best money I spend every year? Well, it's the $700 of going on my believe walk and getting the coffee every morning. And I'm thinking about what's my intention for the day. And I'm thinking about what I want to accomplish today, and the lives that I want to serve, and the people I want to help, and what I'm about to do today. And it's a mini celebration where most of the time we wake up like an accident, right? You wake up, you're probably late for something, you immediately look at your phone. What's on your phone? It's other people's demands for your time, other people's emergencies of what they think you should do with your schedule today, right? That's what's in your phone. All the DMs and the emails and the texts and the missed calls and all, it's all other people's agenda for your time. That is not an intentional life. We wake up like an accident and start falling into what other people want us to do today. That's not what you need to do, and you need to protect your time. So the morning, having a believe walk for me, if you want to go on your own, whether it's 20 minutes or an hour, that's really just a feel thing too. I don't book anything until 10:30 at the earliest in my calendar. Most of my meetings would be 11. First meeting would be 11. Movement Makers and Brandlytics, I'll start at 10:30. And before that, there's nothing officially planned or scheduled, so that it gives my morning free to do whatever I want to do. And so if I want to go for an hour-long believe walk instead of 20 minutes, I can do that because I'm thinking, because I'm brainstorming, because I'm going through an idea. I treat that as walking meditation. If you like to meditate. I mean, it's the same thing. I just find meditation doesn't really help me that much. I like something a little more active, so I go for my believe walks. Do those two things. Put on a playlist, put on music every morning with lyrics that inspire you, and then go for a believe walk. 20 minutes to think about what you want to do today, what you want to accomplish, how you want to spend your time, where you want to be intentional, so you can start living the life that you want to live. Because the only thing that matters is how you feel about yourself. Are you proud of you today? Are you happy with what you've done today? Are you joyful in how you showed up for you today? And yes, we ultimately want to serve and help others, but the only thing that matters is how you feel about yourself. So we can stop relying on external validation and somebody else's words of affirmation for us to feel worthy, and flip it to say, I am worthy. I am amazing. I can do great things. And when you can shift into that energy, you will do great things.
You don't have to be an extrovert to sell. You also don't have to be a slime ball to sell either. All you need to sell is a vision that you believe in and a passion to make it come true. And if you don't learn to effectively sell, that genius idea that you have in here that can serve the world will never come to fruition, and you'll never get the impact that you're after. So I'm here in LA, and over the past 2 days, I've been on the podcast for Jordan Belfort, Wolf of Wall Street, and Jay Abraham, who's the legendary marketing guru for Tony Robbins and Damon John and a whole bunch of other people. And I'm on their podcast, and I'm telling them that they need to be on YouTube, that they need to get their message out. I want to see them more heavily invested. I want to see their message reach the world. And 5 years ago, Evan of 5 years ago would have been too afraid, too humbled, too worried that I might not be perfect, that I wouldn't be able to persuade them to do the thing, and so I wouldn't have tried. And I still have a bit of that in me. When Jordan Belfort asked me, how good are you? Like, how good at YouTube are you? And the answer that I gave was, within the thought leadership world, if you want to help entrepreneurs, I'm top 3-5 in the world. Even as I say it, it feels weird saying it, because the Canadian or Carmichael kind of humbleness is pumping in, but it's also true. Because when you're talking to somebody who is not super familiar with what you're doing, they're trying to get an understanding. When I'm talking to Jordan Belfort and trying to give him an understanding of what I do and why my message is so important for him, I'm trying to serve him. I'm trying to help him. I want him to win. So the credibility is important. It backs it up, and me not strongly believing in myself means that he won't believe in me either. And one of my favorite messages from Jordan, and I told him this at the beginning of the podcast interview, was sales is about a transfer of certainty. Of all the things I've learned from Jordan Belfort, that is the number one thing that still rings true in my head. Sales, if you want to sell people, you want to persuade them on something. And it's, again, not for nefarious reasons, not to screw somebody over, not just to get their money. You want to persuade them. I'm here trying to persuade Jordan, trying to persuade Jay, trying to persuade lots of other people to take their message and put it up on YouTube to spread it to the world. It's for them, right? I got frustrated with Jordan halfway through the interview, and he said, why are you frustrated? Because he's making it a joke and having fun, and he loves having fun on the show, and it's a more entertaining show. He's way more funny and entertaining than I am. I told him, you're doing this for the audience because people will watch the show. I'm doing this for you. Like, we're here at a limited time, and I want you to win. I want to get this out of my head into yours so you can go take action on it, right? So the ability to sell and persuade is based off your ability to transfer certainty. And so when you fully believe in the thing, when you fully believe in the thing, like, this is right, this is the thing that has to happen in service for your customer, in service for your audience, you have to do this, not for me, but because it's the best thing for you. When you fully believe it, then you have to go all in on it.
If you change how you feel about something, you change how you act. The problem is, most of the time, we don't catch our feelings. If you're feeling negative, angry, frustrated, depressed, it doesn't matter what the thing is that you're trying to accomplish, you're not going to give it your all, and you're not going to get results because of your negative emotional state. If you don't start changing how you feel, you're never going to make progress on the goals that you set for yourself. So one of the things I love doing whenever faced in a negative situation is say, it's the best. It's the best. I'm wearing this hat. Says Fanta because friend of the channel, Mark Drager, pointed out to me when I was saying it's the best that I'm a reframer. I'm reframing. I never heard of the concept before. Reframing means you take this negative situation and then you spin it, you reframe it so that it's positive, so that it motivates you, so that it's exciting, so that it pushes you forward instead of it being a negative thing that is all-encompassing and depressing and brings you down. And he said, well, you're always positive because you're just a reframer. And he has this Enneagram, and I'm a number 6 or something. I don't know. He can give you more details. You want to know what number you are and what it means, go follow mark.drager on Instagram and ask him. But I don't think that's something that's just in me. I think everybody can learn how to do it. Everybody can learn how to reframe. You take whatever negative situation that's in front of you and say, this is the best. Right now, this is the best. Where this came from was I was on an airplane from Vancouver to Los Angeles. And that's a 5-hour flight, give or take. And I had to sit next to this really smelly dude, and there was no other option. I had to stay on the plane, I had to make my flight, I had to speak at this event. The only other option was get off the plane. And he was really smelly. I'm sure he didn't want to be smelly, and sure that wasn't his, intention or ambition. It just happened. Probably had 3 stopovers, hadn't showered in however long, and just, he stunk. And in my head, I'm trying to find solutions. There's no solutions, and so I'm upset. I'm complaining. There's 15 seconds of back and forth. Say, this sucks. I can't believe it. And then here's what happens in my head. I say, this is the best. This negative thing that's in front of me right now, this is the best. This is my chance to show myself what I'm made of, right? And so he's sitting right here next to me. I'll look over and just breathe it in. Breathe that in. Breathe in that smell. Breathe it in. To show myself that this is not the limit. That this one dude is not going to ruin my day. And I feel great now about myself because self-confidence comes from doing difficult things. And I just did something difficult. And that's where It's the Best came from. It was a quick trigger to myself to say, this is the best. It's the best. And now it's become this thing that anytime I'm facing a really negative situation that feels overwhelming, impossible, just want to complain, find somebody to blame and say, it's your fault. No, this is the best. This is my chance to show myself and the world what I am made of. And so you can flip it for yourself. What is so overwhelming, so impossible, so crazy that is bringing you down? You look at your calendar, you look at your list of emails, and it's just depressing. Great. This is the best. If you believe, like I believe, that your purpose comes from your pain, if you believe that the thing that you struggled with the most in life becomes your calling for the rest of your life, the time that you struggled and suffered the most as a human, your purpose for the rest of your life is to help other people who currently are who you used to be, then that thing that happened, that massively negative thing, the most painful moment in your life, actually is the best. Because it's gonna allow you to serve hundreds, thousands, maybe millions of people through your purpose. So that negative thing's in front of you. Tell yourself, it's the best.
One of the things that really helped me was leaning into the fact that I'm shy and introverted and afraid to get in front of the camera and afraid to get on stage and no need to be famous. That's led to actually a lot of opportunities. The more I lean in on those things, the more things come to me. I remember doing a speech at Brendan Burchard's growth event, and I wasn't as myself. I was more professional. I was more just giving advice. It was great advice. People loved it. And then he invited me back to speak at his private mastermind. And now these groups are paying $30,000 to $50,000 to be in that room. So now there's a higher pressure, like the first one, the ticket was maybe $100. The ticket to this one is $30,000 to $50,000. Like, oh my gosh, extra pressure. And I just leaned in on it. I walked up on stage and I came after Dean Graziosi. So Dean spoke and then it was me. And Dean was using the Flipboard. This is like a paper beside you and you're flipping one page at a time. And I'd never used a Flipboard in any of my presentations. I've had PowerPoint in the past, or I normally just get up and talk, but I thought, okay, I'm gonna try to use the Flipboard. And I didn't know how to use it. I always felt like I was blocking somebody, so I'm hiding behind the Flipboard trying to write it, and it ended up being really funny. And Brendan took me aside after, and he said, that was the best. That was so much better than you did in Arizona at my first event. And Arizona was great, but you need to lean in on your goofiness. You need to lean in on your shyness. You need to lean in on the things that make you nervous. If you're nervous, say you're nervous. If you have anxiety, say you have anxiety. I'd led with something like that. It's like, I'm scared, I'm an introvert, I'm shy, and I've got my heart beating like crazy right now, standing up here in front of all you guys. That's how I led my speech, something like that. And so leaning in on that has helped me. It's a lot more real. Yeah, it's a lot more real. So you don't feel like you have to be fake. You can just lean in on the thing that makes your heart go crazy like this. Lean in on it. If you were to make a video to say, I want to tell you my story. If I go back to the landscaping company, I want to tell you why I do what I do. And normally I hate making videos, and this makes me really anxious and nervous, and I'm scared to do this, but landscaping is just so important. It's so important to me because, and then you tell the story with the mom, wouldn't you want to hire that person? Wouldn't you want to pay more for that person, right? So leaning in on your story, on the thing that you're worried that you're going to get judged for, is the way that you're going to win.
If you want to become a millionaire or influence a million people, you need to learn to build trust. This is where you can really win as an entrepreneur because people have a really hard time trusting big companies to do the right thing. So this is where you win. You win by not trying to be exactly like the big companies. You win by showing that you actually care and will do the right thing by the customer. So bringing it to a YouTube world as an example, I think everybody should be responding to all comments. One of the things that I believe in is every comment we try to get a response to. Every comment gets a response. Every comment gets a response. And at the beginning when you do any YouTube channel, it's easy. My first video on YouTube, it took me a year to get 3 comments. I made a video. Within 1 year, there were only 3 comments on that video. The first comment was my mom. Thank you, Mom. The second comment was my older sister. Thank you, Alexandra. And the third comment was from some random dude, a new star. Somebody discovered my channel, right? 1 year, 3 comments. Those are pretty easy to respond to, right? It's super easy in the early days when you're not getting comments. If you're getting a comment a day, a comment a week, a couple comments a day, it's easy to respond to. What happens when people scale is they stop responding to comments because they don't know how to scale the business. Because at the beginning, they're doing everything themselves and it doesn't take up a lot of time, but as you start getting more comments, it starts to take up more time. I get hundreds of comments every day on my YouTube channel. I can't respond to every single comment personally myself. If I could, if I did it, then I wouldn't do anything else. I wouldn't be making this video because I was spending all my time responding to people's comments, right? That's the process. But just like any other business, when you start a business, you're doing everything yourself. If you start selling flowers on the street, you're doing everything, right? You got to find the flowers, you got to sell the flowers, you got to distribute the flowers, you're doing everything. As you grow and as you get a flower store, then you bring on a team, right? And you have people who are selling flowers for you and opening the store for you and cleaning the store for you. You're still doing work, right? You're doing more important work. You can't do all of the tasks in the business at all times. If you're always doing everything, you're never going to scale. And so I believe that bigger YouTube channels should hire a team to respond to comments. I have an awesome guy on my team named Velko, who you'll see responding to a lot of comments, and he'll save the comments that I need to see. So if there's feedback or suggestions or improvements, I want to see them. If there's criticism, I want to see it. If it's just saying, thank you, Evan, for the video, amazing, I feel the love. I don't need to see all of those comments that come in, right? I'll sort through some of them, respond to some of them, but that's not going to be the best use of my time every day because then I'm not making videos. And so make that equivalent for yourself. At the beginning, it's easy to show heart, easy to show care because you don't have that many customers, because maybe you only have 1 customer. And so you can show them the love. But as you scale and grow, how can you continue to do that? Whether it's you doing that most important element yourself because that's the thing that drives it, or you have people on your team that really show that love and support because you want to make sure the customer feels respected and appreciated. It's really easy to build trust in a one-on-one situation. It's harder as you build and scale your clients. And so you need to build and scale your culture alongside.
You look at the people who've made big money, they've been chasing something that they love doing. Because otherwise you won't put in enough work. If you're just chasing an opportunity, you're probably not going to make it. If you don't love it enough, the people who love it will crush you. Like if salsa dancing was the hot trend for 2020, you can say, great, I'm going to make tons of money salsa dancing, being an instructor, and then I'll do that for 3 years and then retire and go travel the world and do what I love. You'll never make the money salsa dancing because Alex is going to destroy you.
Sorry.
Yeah, because he loves it, right? Because you'll be a wannabe and you'll never put in enough work to actually get great at the thing. Like if you're going to work with somebody who's going to be in your production, and they just want to make it as an actor because they think it's a path to make tons of money. Because Brad Pitt makes $40 million a movie or whatever it is. But they don't actually care about being a good actor. They're not even going to get into your show. Like you're going to spot that out and say, no, I need people who actually care about the craft.
Everything in your life changes when you learn to tie your self-worth to your effort instead of the results. Most people tie their self-worth to the results, to winning. You only feel good about yourself when you win. If that's how you think, then you're screwed. Because that person only takes on projects that you know you have a pretty high chance of winning at. And therefore, you play small for life. The key is to tie your self-worth to the effort, to trying. And if you do that well, you'll win beyond your wildest imaginations. So let's use me as an example. Look at this video right here, this video. 2 minutes before getting on and making this video, I'm nervous. I'm scared. I don't want to do it. I'm trying to find a reason why I don't have to do this video. Now why? I've done 6,000 of these videos. Do I not love it anymore? No, that's not it. I love doing it. So why am I afraid? Who cares? I've done 6,000. The answer is because I don't want to make it the same way that I've done the past 6,000. I want to push harder. I want to push and do something new. If I was just doing what I've already done, then it'd be easy. Right? If you're doing the same thing over and over and over again, it becomes easy. But then You get bored. You start to hate your life. You start realizing that everything is just a photocopy over and over and over and over and over again. And so, how do I push through? I put this pressure on myself to say, this video right now has to be the best video that I've ever made. That's my intention going in to every time I'm filming. Most days I don't accomplish it. When you're trying something new and scary and bigger and bolder, most of the time you won't get it. You fail a lot. But I tie my self-worth, my respect, to the effort I'm trying. And every now and then, you'll make a bit of a breakthrough. You get a bit of a win. And then those accumulate. And then you get another one, and another win, and another win. And so the answer isn't have a big goal and then find a reason why you can't do it. The answer isn't dream big and then convince yourself of some logical excuse for why you're not going to take action. The answer is to push through. The answer is you're scared and you're going to do it anyway. The answer for me is I'm going to make another video. I'm going to try and push myself harder. And I think that's what achievers do, because achievers are failing more than you. Because most days I get up and fail. Most days I'm just failing. It's another failure, another failure, another failure. But the more you fail, the more you're eventually going to win. I'm going to get massive results. Because you tie your self-worth to your ability to get up and try again, and try again, and try again, and pat yourself on the back for the effort you're putting in, not just when you're winning. So how do you do it? I'm going to give you a 3-step process that I think will help. Step number 1 is what I call the pillow test. This is my actual pillow that when I'm in Toronto, I sleep on every single night. And the pillow test is make yourself proud before you hit your head on the pillow, right? Before you go to sleep tonight, before your head hits your pillow, you ask yourself, am I proud of my effort today? Not how much did I win? Not did I get the results I was looking for? Not did I get my 1 million views or close that big sale? Are you proud of your effort? Are you proud of your effort? Can you put your head on your pillow tonight and say, man, I am proud of the effort that I put in? That's the test. That's the test for tonight. That's your test for tomorrow night, and the night after that, and the night after that, and the night after that. And the more that you get a yes, to say, yeah, heck yeah, I'm proud of my effort. You do that, you watch your business explode. Step number 2 is expect to suck at the start. Anytime you're trying something new, expect to suck. Don't expect to just try something new and it's amazing. This is where a lot of people fall down. You've had some success, you're at a certain level, you're going to try something new. Before you go up, you're probably going to go down. That's part of the experimentation process. It doesn't mean you suck as a human. It just means that you don't have the skill sets, the talents yet. You're trying something new. I haven't brought props in on my videos before. That was a new test. I expect it to suck. Maybe on an off chance it works. Amazing, I learned from it. But when you're trying something, it's brand new, you don't have the confidence in it yet, you're still figuring out the path, expect to suck. When you put so much of your worth into expecting to be great the first time out, here's what happens. You try one thing, you record one video, you watch it back, say, man, that sucked, and then you never make a video again. Meanwhile, if you just kept doing it, you would eventually be awesome. You would eventually crush it. Go back and watch my first videos. Go back to my main channel. Go back to the beginning, see where I started. I've kept them all up so you can see the journey, the progress of how much I sucked at the very beginning. It took me 350 videos until I wasn't embarrassed by my content. I was so embarrassed I couldn't watch it back. 350 videos, but I kept going. The problem is people are quitting on things too soon. You quit on something too soon because you're not getting immediate results. Expect to suck. It doesn't mean that you suck as a human. It just means you don't have the skills yet. And how do you get the skills? By practicing. And number 3 is ask yourself, what would the most bold version of you do? I got this question when I was talking to my video guy, Danny, who came to me with a really important personal problem in his life at the time. And I said, what would the most bold version of you do? It just came out. Man, I love that. And anytime he doesn't know what to do, he asks himself that question. What would the most bold version of me do? It's a great question because it allows you to push through a lot of your fears, a lot of your insecurities, to force yourself to be bold. And you want to be bold. You're meant to be bold. You're meant to create amazing, wonderful things. You want that big vision of yours to come true. You are bold. You are courageous. But we don't live in that land very often. And so if you ask that question, what would the most bold version of you do today? What it does is wash away a lot of those fears and insecurities and gives you the answer that you're actually looking for.
Because you made it this far in a video,
I want to celebrate you. Most people start and don't finish. Most people never actually follow through. Most people say they want something, but they don't ever do the work to actually get it. But you are different. You are special. Believe Nation, you made it here all the way to the end, and I love you. So as a special celebration, if you put a hashtag believe down in the comments below on this video, I will showcase you and celebrate you somewhere on the screen in a future video because you are awesome.
If you want to watch top 10 rules of Tony Robbins, check out the video next to me. I think you're going to enjoy. Continue to believe. I will see you there.
Most of us have been conditioned not to take a risk. People ask me all the time, what does it take to be happy? And I always tell them it's really simple. One word, progress. Progress equals happiness. If you keep